John Deegan, I believe you are in the wrong meeting. If you use the link that Lori sent out yesterday at 9:15, that will get you where you should be.
Hello again.
Thank you. Go back to that. Go back to your share. Who can share? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. In here. Choose the little square.
We are.
We have a couple folks in the attendee section, and you're showing up as your name as a board member. So I'm making the assumption you took the link from Board Effect. If you could please change your name in Zoom there's 3 dots, should be right to the right of your name there. Change your name or add your name so we know who you are to promote you or not. Supposed to be read only, or just report only.
You can tell from the outside that it looks bad, or just from the inside? Oh, okay, that's.
Michael, can you hear me? Region 1, Michael, paging Michael. Yeah, you're muted.
Now I'm here.
Hey, wow, fast response on that. You were my test bunny, okay? You were the only one I sent the naughty list to, and wow, did you send it back great. All done.
And that's magical, Jim, because we got a sick house over here. All of us got the flu or something. We're all like going to bed and struggling. It's horrible. It's the gook. But what was interesting, Jim, is I was involved in this process when Bard was president. So I remember doing it. I remember approving our local club's bylaws. So I was a little bit miffed when I got your email. I'm like, hold on, I know we did this. I know we did it. I was in the notes on it. So,
well, Debbie told me when I send this out, make sure to put in there, oh, and my notes might be wrong, okay?
yeah, it was so I don't know how that happened, but I mean, you got all my responses from each of the ones that were highlighted.
Well, for a sick house, you did the right thing. You shoveled it off to the people that had the records. I've already heard from Marty. I know it'll all be in good order. So thank you for doing that. And it helps me when I get ready to do that with the rest of the region presidents. And I hope y'all get well.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Okay, so welcome. Lori Tilton are restreaming live now onto the public meeting.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. First, I just want to kick off this IBT. I want to let you all know that the IBT, which is the Region Presidents and Exec Council, just finished about a 20-minute closed session. This is where we talk about topics that are typically related to either personnel issues, legal issues, whatever. No financial decisions were made, just a discussion. No policy changes were made. If you have any additional questions, please definitely reach out to your IBT representative, which is either your region president or your EC liaison if you're intra-club or interest club member. Awesome. All right. Ms. Warren, if you could please tell us how we're doing.
Everyone's here. Do you want me to do a formal roll call?
Please.
Yes. President McHenry.
Present.
Vice President Millie O'Donnell.
Present.
I'm here. Finance Director Alan Robb.
Here.
EC Member John Becker.
Present.
EC Member Jim Cock.
Present.
EC Member Kathy Giese.
Present.
EC Member Marcia Howes.
Here.
EC Member Jenny Schnettler.
Present.
EC Member Kendall Felder.
Present.
Past President Mona Watts.
Present.
Region 1 President Michael Junta.
Me.
Did I say it right? No? Thank you. Region 2 President Gary Russo.
Here.
Region 3 President Bob Ely.
Here.
Region 4 President Fred Keel.
Present.
Region 5 President John Deegan.
Here.
Region 6 President Jan Hevener.
Here.
Region 7 President Chris Olson.
Here.
Region 8 President Rick Everson.
Present.
Region 9 President Tracy Elkins.
Present.
Region 10 President Florence Tremoni. Is Florence here? I thought I did.
Sorry, here, I was muted.
Hi. Thank you. Region 11 President John Hawley.
Here.
Region 12 President Sean Bloom.
Present.
Parliamentarian Lori Grassi.
Morning.
Morning. Executive Director Lori Tilton.
Here.
We're all present and accounted for.
Thanks, Terry. And if any of y'all have to step off, just let either in text or raise your hand and let Terry know that you're stepping out for the minutes, and she'll record that you stepped out and who's replacing you. Okay. Awesome. So I'm really excited. Our board packet, I checked, it's only 42 pages this quarter, and that is an absolute record on low. And I think we have a video. It's kind of like when you have a substitute teacher coming to your school, right? You get to watch TV. So I think we have some fun topics to work on today. And as your president, I just feel quite happy about the fact that we're going to be focused today on some things that really drive some benefit to our members. We're talking about our work with Jackson Center projects. We're talking about a historical center we're talking about celebrating our 100th anniversary. And this is the stuff that I'm glad we get a chance to spend a little more time on today than normal. So about that, going into my president's report, a couple of highlights. As you all know, we have our third annual IBT only strategy session. It's targeted in November 3rd to 7th. There's one representative per person on this screen per IBT. And for some of the people that are new to the IBT, this is new for us, right? For Airstream Inc., the manufacturer, to welcome us into their factory, into their boardrooms, into their conference rooms is a big deal. And I understand we're the only outside group that they allow that for. So we're really pleased to have them host us. It makes it a nice way to also reinforce our relationship and partnership with the manufacturer of our beloved Airstreams. Okay, first, although before I go a little bit more, I realized I skipped over approval of minutes. So first, do I have a motion to approve the minutes or any changes to minutes that are proposed? Okay, Millie.
Eric, I do have some changes to the minutes that have been submitted to me within the past couple of days.
Please go ahead.
I will make those changes. It's about including more information, summary, and the actual motion for electronic motion. So I will make those changes and resubmit them.
Okay, thank you, Terry. And I saw a motion by Millie, I believe it was, to approve the minutes as updated. Okay, and that stands. Sounds like, do I have a second for that?
I'm sorry, Eric, can I interrupt? Florence, it looks like you're signed in twice. Is that true?
No, I mean, I have Board Effect open on another computer, but I'm not
Okay.
Zooming twice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so do we have a second? Do we get a second for the minutes?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Jenny. All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you again, Terry, for taking time to get those minutes right. So back to the president's report. I'll talk about a little bit later today, but I'm going to talk a little bit about this new organization entity we're forming to help us get our 501c3 WBCCI Historical Center going that'll occupy half of 803 East Pike. And also about our 100th anniversary plans that we're looking at doing. And the one thing I want to share with you, though, now first is that kind of sorry, bounce around a little bit. Because our fiscal year changed to January 1st, the selection of the IBT dates had always been aligned with after the close of the prior quarter. And that way, the finance team had about 2 or 3 weeks to take a look at the end of quarter results, build their financial reports. So now that the quarter has changed, we have to shift the IBT meetings accordingly. And they've been updated in Board Effect, but just letting you know right now that our next IBT meeting, interesting enough, is going to be January 23rd. And that's about 3 weeks after the end of the prior quarter, in this case, end of the prior fiscal year. Our next meeting will be April 17th, and then July 17th, and then October 23rd. Again, these are updated on your Board Effects meeting calendar as well. And if you auto sync to that, you should be able to see it. We're also going to almost certainly hold a public study session on January 13th. Now, as some of you may know, that a lot of you know, the Capstone project led jointly by Jen Dice, Leadership Recruitment, and by CBL. They took a look at some stuff. Jim's going to talk about it later, about why they pulled it, as well, Jen, I think. But we believe there may be an interest in having a study session. We're going to make this one a public study session, so any of the members can watch on YouTube. There's nothing secret about it. The study sessions are different from an IBT meeting only in the sense that no one votes. It's just really about a little less formal way to explore complicated topics. And then the motion maker will bring the motion to the final state, the next voting board meeting. So that'll probably be on January 13th. You all will see that in Board Effect popping up pretty soon. Okay, so just going down into more on the President's Report topics. Let me scroll my iPad over here. So about 6 months ago, we were chatting with some people at Airstream Inc., the manufacturer, and we realized that the 100th anniversary of Airstream forming was coming up in 2031. And now that we have a really wonderful partnership with Airstream Inc., where they make the best campers around, and we have the best camping group around, we decided that an appropriate way to do this would to have a joint group to plan something for 2031. And you will see in the board packet that we've assembled a really strong group that's a partnership between both our members and Airstream Inc. And we had our initial meeting, maybe a month ago, and just to kind of frame it up. And at this point, we're not expending any cash. We're not expending anything else. We just wanted to make sure that we had a rough template. And as you can see from the idea that it will probably be something like a caravan to support the historical caravan that Airstreams did, even before the club. As you remember, Airstream is 100 years old. Our club is only 70 years old. So, there was 30 years of things happening in Airstream before our club existed. So we'll probably start somewhere on the West Coast, where Airstreams were initially manufactured in California. There may be a caravan heading east. It makes sense to try to end up in the Jackson Center area around the time of Wally's birthday, which is July, or some other time frame, weather permitting, route permitting. One of the differences, though, that the planning committee, and I think everyone who served on it, really stressed is that we want to make sure that this is open to all of our members. Before it was hard to go on a caravan was a huge commitment of money and of time. And we want to make sure that in this 100th year celebration that this is open to as many of our members as possible. In fact, as many of the public as possible. So one of the guys had a really good idea of that as we travel across country. I'm saying we, who knows if I go or not. 2031 is a while from now. But that we have sort of mini stops along the way, perhaps hitting some historical international rally sites, having some opportunity for the regions to have get-togethers and meet the caravan, celebrate. And then, of course, once we hit Jackson Center area, to do something big there. Maybe that dovetails into the start of the international rally. So some great ideas. Take a look at the notes in there. If you have any questions or you want to help out, let me know. What I anticipate the next steps are that probably in a few months, we'll form more of a working group to start putting some pencils to paper and figuring out the routes. We'll have to assign a caravan leader or leaders. Any of you who've ever led a caravan or been participated in a caravan know this is a large undertaking. We've got both John Becker, who was past caravan lead. We have Ray Combs, current caravan lead. A number of people here involved in caravans. So we should be able to pull it off, but it's a lot of work. Don't misunderstand that. So we'll get that going probably next 6 months in a serious way. Ray tells me that we can probably leverage from some of the existing caravan segments, right, that have crossed the country over the years, and maybe link together some of those to help us do some initial planning. So pretty excited about that. The next thing, which, I'm just really happy with the progress that the team has made on this one is, when we exited our current building, 803 East Pike, and moved over to 707, and Jenny is going to give you an update of where we are in 707, the new building. We decided to make the old building, which is 40 years old, I think. I think that's right. 40 years old, into a combination of a membership clubhouse and a place where we can actually archive our club's history. And one of the cool things about the Airstreams Heritage Center in Jackson Center is that does a phenomenal job of talking about Airstreams, the metal, right, throughout the years. What we do not have is a way to showcase anything about our club's history. And that's where the focus of this historical center will be on the 70th years and looking forward of our club's history. We have a lot of artifacts, we have a lot of documents, we have a lot of history about our club that frankly is sitting in people's drawers and cupboards and being lost every day. I was telling someone that Laverne and I have been in the club for just shy of 15 years, and we've seen 2 or 3 units either collapse or grow or combine. A lot of that stuff is gone. We've maybe kept some of the historical flags, some of the momentous things. One of the first clubs in California is out here and still active. So we want to do a better job in archiving our club stuff. And we're envisioning having at least for the first part, having a probably more like a self-service walkthrough about our history in there. So as you can see on the, I'm not going to put it up on screen. And thanks, Jenny, for helping out this. Jenny's a project manager for for our complex in Jackson Center. We've got a rough a computer design layout of what it might look like. On the left side would be the membership clubhouse, and that's basically the existing footprint of our building. There are no load-bearing walls in our current building, so that's wonderful. But to put in some bathrooms, as we know, as members travel, one of the things we want a lot is to be able to take a shower sometimes. We want to be able to do laundry sometimes. We want to be able to relax. And when our units over in the shop or at the Heritage Center, be able to come back and have a peaceful place to sit and relax in Jackson Center. So that would be the goal of the historical center. As you guys know, we already have 3 courtesy parking spots available in the back of the building. Lori tells me we've already had 3 or so random members already sign up to stay in Jackson Center. So as we grow out up to 9 spots around that area, or 9 additional spots, we want to have a place for members to hang out, have a dog park, relax. And the right-hand side, though, would be the historical center. And it would probably be a combination of just people to walk through looking at things, but then also a bit of a closed library for more sensitive documents. Joe Polpinski, and I'm really pleased, we'll be talking to y'all in a little bit, talking about the progress that the historical committee has made with respect to scanning, right? Because one of the things we know already is that we have 70 years of history of membership directories, annual directories of our caravans, right? And we want to archive that, Blue Berets, archive those somewhere. And the nice thing is that if we do it electronically, which is how people archive documents nowadays, we'll be able to do searches, look at it, and there may be a place to have some members able to go into a portal to view some of the historical documents as well. So we're trying to start a more of a coherent focus on how do we preserve the legacy of our club and how do we keep it going forward. All right, so that's it on that. I'll keep you posted on that. The steps right now are that we have a draft CBL, Constitution and bylaws. We're trying to get the 4 officers. Region 6 incoming president David Gully has agreed to be the founding president for this new organization. This new organization is a separate entity. It would be a 501c3, not managed by our club for tax reasons, and they have to form a board. So if any of you have any interest in helping out with the historical center, either in fundraising or in helping structure or grow it, let me know ASAP because we really want to form this and get it going. The goal of the team we have now is we want to do groundbreaking on Wally's birthday in our 70th year. That means July 4th, 2025. So the doors won't be opening then, but we want to just have some groundbreaking ceremony, and we'll be starting some fundraising in advance of that. And I think that is it for my stuff. Let's go into other executive council reports. I think you are next, Jenny, to talk about where we are on 707. Oh, wait, we have some hands up. I apologize. I looked down too quickly.
Just a
John?
quick thing for the benefit of the board, Eric, and for anybody who's watching. You said some people signed up for the spots that are already at the headquarters building complex. My understanding is that's now being done through Harvest Host. Members through Harvest Host can access, sign up, etc. And I just thought people ought to know that.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, I would actually say it more. It's administered through our courtesy parking app, which is hosted by Harvest Host, and it was in the last couple of blueberries. But yeah, it's great. It's working out really nicely so far. Thank you, John, for that clarification. Millie.
Yes, I just wanted to be a little more specific when Eric is talking about populating a board for the historical organization. This is where you guys come in. You know the people out there, you know who will be best suited for this. And we need our IBT to come together and bring names and bring suggestions so that we can have a killer board that just rocks this new system. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Millie. Yeah, yeah. And it's a working board, by the way, as you might imagine. You know, if you've ever been involved with a startup, the founding board is often some people with a vision, and they put their shoulders to the wheel and they come up with stuff and they work hard. So it's got to be a working group, and fundraising is going to be a big part of it because we're not going to use any member dues on this. Sean?
So going back to your first comment about the change in financial year, do we need to think about how that impacts our term as region presidents, or is there no correlation?
Okay, so simple answer at this point in time, Sean, there is no impact on the region presidents. There is, however, an impact on executive council members, and Lori Grassi is going to talk about that in her report out in a few minutes. Thank you. Okay, let's go to other exec council reports. Let's go to Jenny first, and we'll kind of go around the table.
Well, hello. I'm hoping that we have a video up and running. I'm going to take you on a little tour this morning. It's show and tell time. We're not completely finished. I'd say the project is 95% finished. There's always going to be those few things. John and I still have a couple of items we're building for the new facility. You know, this was a hammer and nails project for our group, and I'm so proud of all the people that volunteered to help. I really want to express my thanks to the willingness and quality of work. I think we did better than if we'd had hired a contractor. We certainly got more out of it. At any rate, Lori, if you're up and ready, let's take a look at that film.
We have to
Good
start again?
evening.
Oh, there we go.
Welcome back. I'm going to show you our latest updates on what's going on 707, our new headquarters for our club. Come on in. Well, what we're seeing right now is the vestibule. We put in these beautiful planter boxes, very kind of greenhouse zen feeling, so you get a nice idea of what things feel like. And we'll come on in the front door. Our members are going to be greeted by this really wonderful, warm, cozy Airstream. Yay, it looks great in here. Airstream themed entryway. This is the magazine rack, which was over in the other building. We've got some nice tables and chairs. What's going on right here is going to be a merchandise cabinet built by Ron Lyric. Two-tiered with glass doors. This is the bathroom that's right off the lobby. Kind of fun, festive. And we carried that theme right on over into our decor of the pillows, the black leather couches, the riveted walls. Just looks fantastic. You'll notice right here, we've got the front reception desk, and that Airstream is actually custom building us a beautiful back end with a counter so that Jen can greet people in true Airstream fashion. Here we have a little entertainment refreshment area. People can have coffee or a water. And then over here, not installed yet, will be the TV with running kind of a closed circuit loop of advertising, updated information on what's going on. This door here enters the back area. However, it will be locked so that Jen buzzes folks in. Here's Jen Thomas, our receptionist area. This is when you call in and she answers the telephone and you have anything that you need done handled right here at kind of command central for her. She's got a lot more space, a lot more room for technology. All the equipment that she had been running around now is right at her fingertips. So back in this hallway, we have our staff area. The staff have their own private bathroom, very, very pretty, kind of softer, nicer look to it. And then this is the back door into their kitchen. Yay, they finally have a kitchen. It's fully outfitted, ready to go. Once a week, they'll be baking cookies for all the members that stop by. This is another door. This is a delivery door, which is very handy. Over here, this will be their built-in banquette. Not done yet. John and I still have lots of work to do. This is a very long hall, and actually it peaks right over here. You can see where Jen's area is. But this 24-foot long hallway, which was created by knocking down walls and building new walls, will be a 100-year timeline for our club. Well, what do we have here? This is our artistic area back in this wing of the building. This is Corey Maxwell's office. He's our Blue Beret editor, and his faithful companion, his dog Parker. Corey does all the work in here, makes the magic happen. The Blue Beret, which is so exciting every single month, whether it's a blog or whether it's a printed copy. It's a wonderful, wonderful addition. We have a new employee. Her name is Sherry McCabe. Sherry is our marketing and communications manager. This is her office. In addition to Sherry's responsibilities, she also will be managing the electronic sign right out these windows. So that's pretty exciting. We hope to really utilize that to its fullest. Welcoming members, updating things, having a real presence here on East Pike Street. Oh, this is the overflow office. One thing that's exciting I'd like for you to notice are these windows. This whole wall on the western portion of the building had no windows, so we put 4 windows in. This office here will be used if we add staff, or if you happen to be in town and need to get some work done, come on over and do it here. Now we're entering my favorite part of this building, the workroom. This was created by knocking down about 6 different walls and creating an amazing space for all of the work that happens, the big red numbers, the assembly of new member packets, all the machinery that was here, there, and everywhere is now all condensed into one wonderful working space. Tons of shelf space for all the merchandise that we love to give to each other. And this is the beautiful copy machine, paper supplies, all the way around this whole perimeter of the room are boxes and boxes of supplies for new member activity, for updated information that gets sent out. And here we have wonderful work surfaces. They really have a tremendous amount of space in here, and it cuts through right in the heart of the building. Now we're into the management portion of the building. You can kind of imagine it's like Disney World. We just left Tomorrowland and here we are in the Frontierland. No, I'm kidding. This is where Amber Regula works, and she kind of oversees a lot of stuff. Her positioning in this office, in the physical part of the office, is really pivotal to be all hands on deck. She's really kind of an all-around employee that answers to a lot of things. However, we finally have a dedicated data and electrical room. This room houses all of the paneling, the data, the computer stuff. This is where the magic happens, where we keep things up to date. Coming along here, now in this hallway, you can see there's Jen's area. We have another restroom right here. This is more of a simpler restroom, kind of a softer decor in here in this room. Again, these are ADA compliant, which is very, very nice. But this is a back hall. We are actually on the back side of the front lobby at this point. We're walking all the way down here. This wall was solid across. That used to be another building, another part of the building completely walled off. And Fred Keel managed to rip that puppy open and gave us this beautiful back hallway. Here we are at Amanda's office. And Amanda, who's our office manager, needs a little bit of space to conduct a lot of business. Again, she's got that nice new window, a lot of pretty space. Here we've created a merchandise closet. I don't know if you remember, a moment ago I showed you where the merchandise cabinet was. This is the back end of it, so that we actually have dedicated space to store that merchandise. Now we've entered what I call the executive suite. This has its own powder room back here. Very nice, very, very soft, quiet powder room. And this area is another kitchenette. You might be like, why would we want 2 kitchenettes? It's a great idea because if we do happen to have a conference or there's a small meeting going on, all of this can happen without interrupting our day-to-day operations with Amanda, Amber, Corey, and Sherry, and Jen. We can be back here handling things, maybe getting a refreshment, maybe having catered in things. This is a quiet area if someone needs to take a phone call, right across from that restroom, and they have the opportunity for some privacy. Back over here, yep, here it is, the boss, our executive director, Lori Tilton. She finally has enough space to actually be the executive director for us instead of stuck in the middle of everything. Here's her working space. She has some great space for small meetings. Her monitor will go right on that wall, and that's where she'll be conducting her Zoom meetings. So you'll see her in here. Oh, hey, do you remember that painting? We had that done when we were in Sedalia. Now over here, we finally have dedicated space for the rally team. You know, so much of what happens in our club kind of centralizes around the international rally, but it's always been a sort of happenstance site. Now they have cabinetry, storage, work areas, data areas. Yes, that is the old drive-up window of the bank. And they finally also have room to store all the stuff that gets brought to rallies. And here it is. This closet room that I'm in right now actually used to be the bank vault. But thanks to Millie, she turned it into a charming space. And Millie painted this for us. Very nice. This back door here is where the staff will enter and exit throughout the day. Now finally, one of the most exciting things we have is our own conference room. The conference room has a gigantic table that seats 22 people. We can squish and seat 24. We're friends. This is the conference room. Jill Rabb didn't like my singular lamp and said, Jenny, you put in a second lamp. And she was right, it looks much, much better. This room will house larger meetings or get-togethers. And over here on this white wall that you see, that next week we get installed a 100-inch smart TV. And that's for any shared information, meeting information. Very pretty stone wall, that's slate. Kind of an accent in here to give it a little warmth. And when we do our meetings, we have an 8-foot glass whiteboard. So we can work on strategies, things that we want to label, all that kind of fun stuff. This room's very beautiful. This used to be the lobby of the bank. And Tom Price, who helped us with all the painting, was very, very instrumental in making sure we kept this woodwork and made it look fabulous. And there's that beautiful window. I'm going to give you another view of this room from this angle, and you see that it's very generous. Our chairs haven't come in yet. They're on their way. Lots of stuff is still in the works. So we're going to walk right back out where we came from, and here we are back in the lobby. And that's your wonderful new Airstream International Clubhouse building. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
That's fantastic. You got a couple questions, Kathy and then Florence.
Sure, let's
Um,
get to it.
Okay, Jenny, I can't tell you how beautiful that turned out. I had the pleasure of seeing the before on it. It was filled with holes because it was an old dentist's office. Jenny, being a dentist herself, knew where all the wiring was, everything was. But I hope everybody understands hundreds of thousands of dollars in work were donated by volunteers with this club. And for the budget on it, I can't believe that the final product. And our headquarters team deserves better. Anybody that's been to the old offices, pardon the expression, it was a dump. So anyway, great job. And thank you to all the volunteers who worked. I live too far away, but I appreciate everything that was done. Thanks, Jenny.
Kathy, such kind words. And I'm gonna say you are all so welcome. It was a privilege. It's really, really fun to do, but it's not me. It's everybody that has committed to it, supported it, and encouraged it. And it did turn out great because of them. Thanks for those kind words. Florence?
I had to rifle back through my notebook here that I take notes for all these meetings. It was only 17 months ago that as a board, we were voting to purchase 707. And now here we are looking at this. And I saw the before as well. This is staggering how quickly it was done and how much money you and your team saved the club. So thank you.
Thank you for those kind words. Yeah, it was amazing that, and we had a final push. And here in Region 4, we're a lot physically closer than you guys are. And we had a final push, put the word out. And in just 3 days, we had 5 guys from our local club come and spend a week with us and do all those last minute things. So the cheerfulness and the excitement. I mean, Millie, you were there. You worked your butt off on that project too. Jim, the amount of work you did, and Fred, it's unbelievable. It's thousands of hours collectively. And I'm grateful that you gave us the chance to do it. So thank you for your kind words, Florence.
Since Jeff Dalrymple's listening, you should give credit to Jeff also.
Oh, Jeff, I'm grateful you're listening. You were wonderful. Even when you were up on that ladder. It was just, and then the evenings when we would have communal dinners, the process was fabulous. Thanks for all of it.
John?
All I can say is, wow, you guys. I can't wait to get back there and see it. Congratulations.
You'll be there for we are planning to have 2 of our social events for our November strategy session in that room, in the conference room. Well, really the whole building, because one of them will be in the evening. And I'm hoping we might include some of those execs from Airstream who are so kind to bring us to their building, and we'll bring them back to ours.
Thanks, Jenny, and thanks to the board also, current and past board. As Florence mentioned, it was a bit rough sliding in the early part of acquiring the building. We worked through it as a board, as a team. The board really gave strong instructions to Jenny and Jim and others that got to bring this thing under budget. They did that, so thank you for doing that. The next, of course, thing is our look shifts toward the old building 803 and how we get that going. And Jenny has agreed to stay on as project manager for construction in 803 as we move it into the membership center, as well as the historical center. So thank you so much for that. Okay, let's do some other exec council updates, and we'll go to Lori after that, Lori Tilton after that. Marcia, did you have any updates? These are ones I think I heard about that may have today. Marcia, anything from you?
Just that at our next IBT, we'll be presenting a motion to develop a standing committee for external partnerships with the club. Both you and Lori have been instrumental in helping me pull that together, and just everyone look forward to that. It'll be in our next deck. Thanks.
Can you just give a little bit of a background why? It may come as a new thing for some people.
Oh,
Why
certainly,
are we thinking about this?
We'd like to capitalize on many of the casual and ad hoc relationships that we had already built, whether they be discount programs, partnerships, sponsorships, technical training relationships. And we recognize that we had all this good work and collateral that was being developed, but no formal means of keeping it managed and continuous. So we're going to put that together to make sure we make the most of it.
Thanks, Marsha. Looking forward to seeing that come to the board. John Becker, did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
No, I'm good at the moment. What I would let people know is Eric did ask me to look for ideas on how to engage our international club, primarily in Europe. And I have worked with the club president over in Europe, as well as with Margaret Hanshoe and Ray Combs, who are the National Event Rally and Caravan Committee chairs. We have a proposal that Lori has Corey, wordsmithing my initial draft of that. But basically, the real theme is, and we want to bring it back to the IBT, is the European Club welcomes any member in good standing to join their events, their rallies, their caravans, and you don't need to be in an Airstream trailer when you do that. And there are some members in North America who take advantage of that. And what we want to do is reiterate, there's a fundamental principle here, which is all of our members are welcome at all of our events. And I feel strongly as a national caravan leader that if somebody from Europe wanted to join the caravan in a rental unit, it doesn't have to be an Airstream. They can throw their big red numbers up in a window. And I think it would be good for the group to join us. But we'll be bringing that forward, and it has the support of both Margaret and Ray. Looking forward, I would look very much forward as a caravan leader. We have a lot of rigs that come on the trip from Canada, and we might as well have somebody from Europe as well.
Thanks, Sean, for leading the effort to re-engage with Europe. It's fantastic. Before we go to Lori Grassi, let me ask any other exec council members, any updates? Okay, Lori Grassi, and then we'll go to Executive Director report.
Okay, good morning. Currently, the WBCCI Constitution, Article 8, Executive Council, Section 2 states in part that these officers so elected shall take office at the start of the WBCCI fiscal year. With the passage of motion 2024-23, which changed the fiscal year start date to January 1 from August 1, there's a significant amount of time between the Executive Council election and the date that they would take office, which is directed by the Constitution. Additionally, Bylaws Article 8, Board of Trustees and Executive Council, Section 3, start date of officer's term, subsection 1, states that newly elected IBT members will assume office on August 1st following their election. Members filling midterm vacancy will start immediately. Section 2 goes on to indicate that, quote, when newly elected IBT members are installed and sworn in, with Section 3 discussing when region presidents are installed with their oath of office. A question is raised by Article 8, Section 3, subsection 1, referencing newly elected IBT members will assume office on August 1st following their election. However, newly elected IBT members include EC members. Because of the Constitution is dominant over the bylaws, the constitutional language prevails, but this must be clarified in future amendments in the bylaws. So it's just a notice to you all. Robert's Rules of Order allows for lengths of terms of office to be extended when there is a transition period like this. Section 5627 of Roberts, 5628, 29, 30, 31, and 32 all reference the filling of positions and allow for terms to be extended. So it would be common that the current and first Executive Council election officers would, not just officers, sorry, Executive Council members would have their term extended to 12/31 of 2025. And with the new election in June of 2026, the new Executive Council, the election could still occur in June, but they would take office in January 1 of 2026. Mr. President, is that complete for you? I could read all of the sections of Roberts, but it might bore everybody. Florence. Eric, you're muted. Did you want me to manage questions or do you?
No, sorry. So that's good. But I think there may be some questions. Before we go to questions, just bottom line, Lori, can you just share who that affects and what options we have for those people that affects?
Well, it affects the 9 executive council members the most because it's very explicit. And so currently, I mean, it would be common under Robert's Rules of Order for those executive council members to serve through the election period of the next executive council, but then the new executive council members would actually take office January 1. And I know some of you are probably wondering, well, what does that do with the fall strategy session? And those are all things that the president would work with the IBT on how to manage. It would be common that there would be transition and training that would occur for those that are changing position. Like if a current EC member is not running again and a newly elected person is, that maybe you would pair up with somebody leaving the board to guide you through your role as executive council.
Thanks, Lori. And so basically, just restating a different way, because it is kind of new for a lot of y'all, is that the election would occur as planned. The executive council election would occur as planned in June of 2025. So, 7 months from now. The members would pick who goes on the executive council. Those people would not take office until 7 months later on January 1st, 2026. And the question is, what happens in the gap between August 2025 and December 2020? So that's the question. All right, questions. And we do not believe there's any motions required because this just falls right into standard operating procedures of both Constitution and Roberts. So Florence and then Jenny.
You sort of kind of answered my question. How can we maximize these newly elected EC members' time in that gap period to train them, or I don't know, but that you touched on what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, okay. I mean, alternatively, you would have to change your election date, and that's a lot more effort, and you've just guided your membership through elections in June. So, there's lots of options, but this is the most clean.
Yeah.
Okay, Jenny.
Besides being the most clean, I really agree that having that 5-month lead-in time when someone has been elected till when they're seated gives them many opportunities to learn the job, but it also gives them the opportunity to get to know all the members so that when making the decision for the future officers, they didn't just get elected and 2 days later have to figure out who their officers are going to be. It gives them the opportunity to see who they would like to work with. So I think it's a real win-win. And I hope every other year, we always still retain our election in July for the following January 1st seating for this exact purpose. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Terry?
So I'm a little confused. The officers, though, the positions won't be decided during that time, right? So, for example, my role as secretary, I won't have an opportunity to train anybody about how to fill the role.
Well, not necessarily. So one of the options that the group could take, and this is actually anchored in our bylaws, I believe, is that, again, just focused on exec council. So there will be 9 people elected by the members. We'll know who those are by July, right? And I think just like in any other presidential race, they would be called the council members elect, and they would take office on January 1st, 2026. So 5-6 months later. But the board can also choose to have its reorganization meeting, which is where the board selects president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. You can still have that in July of 2025. And that way you know who the president-elect is, the vice president-elect is, the secretary-elect is, and treasurer-elect is. I think that my personal recommendation would be to do that on the current schedule. And that way those people know they're going to be president, they're going to be vice president, be whatever. And then at the strategy session in November, my personal recommendation is that the people to go to that are the people that will be in office on January 1st, 2026. So you'd know at that meeting who's the president is, who's the vice president. That's my recommendation. And by the way, y'all, this just popped up probably about a month ago, and it kind of popped out of some of the capstone considerations in the fiscal year. I realized, oh my gosh, what about the exec council? So this kind of became a new issue, a new thing. But we have time
And
to sort it out.
And I think, Mr. President, that you actually have to hold the reorganization meeting.
I think so.
At the time that it currently is stated, unless unless the bylaws are changed by the IBT.
So it's basically business as usual, except that we have a gap between August 1st and January 1st. And by the way, current exec council members, if anyone doesn't want to serve those extra 5 months, they can step down. And then the board would fill, as they normally do, a vacant position, either leaving it vacant, appointing it, or whatever. So that may happen too. I can't speak for other exec council members, but some exec council members may be looking forward to August 1st, 2025, and not willing to serve another 5 months. That may happen also. Millie, and then Jim, and then Jenny.
Honestly, the opportunity for training for incoming officers that this 5 months gives is unprecedented. We've never, as a club, in my experience, had that sort of chance that the incoming officers and the incoming EC members get to sit in on the Zoom meeting. And you notice I said get to, it's so fun. They get to have these wonderful meetings and the face-to-face, even if it's just on a screen, an opportunity to get to know your coworkers is priceless, rather than coming in first meeting after an election cold. And I don't care what your past life was, what your past career was. Every one of us has that little, oh, I hope I do okay, and I hope I do my membership. I want to serve them well. They elected me to be here. I want to do a good job. That 5 months of settling in, getting comfortable, getting to know people is priceless. I'm kind of glad it's working out this way. For me personally, I would have loved to have that extra option. So I think it's a good thing.
Thanks, Millie. Okay, take a couple more, Jim, and then Jenny. I want to see if any region presidents have any questions or members of the public. All right, Jim, and oh, I just lost someone. So Jim, your hand is up.
Yeah, thanks. I know no one's wondering, but I thought I'd just mention it. The Constitution says that the executive council officers will take office January 1 or fiscal year. I'm bringing this up only to say we will not be doubling the number of votes on the council or increasing it by any increment by doing this. Just wanted to point it out. These new folks will either take office January 1. Well, actually, that's it. End of statement. Thank you.
Jenny?
Exactly. A little bit of a knot there, because the people that would be running for the offices cannot vote. They are not seated on the council. So just those are logistics we need to work through. Regardless of whether we earmark them for those and then they become elected on January 1st, those are details we'll get through. I just wanted to bring up, basically piggybacking what Jim said.
Thanks, Jenny. Any questions or comments from region presidents?
You have to allow him.
Okay, great. Were there any comments from the public that were not answered online, Lori?
Yeah, Joe Pulpinski has his hand up. We'll allow him to speak.
Hi, I may have missed it, but I am a member of the Constitution Bylaws Committee, and I know we've already discussed this pending change. Because there is a reference explicitly to August 1 in, I forget if it's a policy or bylaws, there will be a CBL change required to long-term align things. And I believe there's been discussion that region presidents would still change on August 1st. They would not be delayed 5 months because there are incoming region VPs that are already planning activities during that 5-month transition period. So it's only, I believe, the EC members and the international officers whose dates are going to be changing this next cycle.
Joe, as always, you are 100% correct. So on both counts, thank you.
And I'll be bringing this back to CBL for clarification. The reference that you made to bylaws or policy, though, is incorrect. It is in the Constitution that the EC will start on the fiscal year, which is now January 1 instead of August 1. I will also complete my report in a more formal written so that and Eric can send it out to all of the IBTs so that you can see which references to Roberts that I made, since there's 2 pages of them and you don't want me to read them all. But I could.
Hey, thanks. Any other questions from the audience or region presidents, vice presidents? Okay, this is one of these things where my analogy is that you throw a rock in a puddle, and this is the change of the fiscal year. And we have all these sort of things that ripple out, and hopefully over time they die down, right? But it's like, oh, that's right. What about this one? So I think there's a nice way through this, and hopefully there adds benefit to it. Sounds like I'm having some overlap. All right, let's go into executive director report. Lori?
Thanks, Eric. My report is in the membership book. I just want to point out a couple things on Monday. Exciting news here is that we crested the 10,000 membership mark. So we're super excited about that. It's been a long time. We have identified a 10,000th member. We're going to reach out to them and grant them a little solo stove and see if we can get their Airstream story so we can share that with everybody. Also, John Becker mentioned, but the sites here at 803 are on Harvest Host. I've had actually 3 now. We've had people booking here, even with it being 17 degrees here in Ohio. They're still booking and they're staying right here at HQ. So we're excited that that's starting to take off. There are plans in the middle of December. Sherry is working with the Harvest Host team that we're going to do a little bit more press and a little bit more advertising about the whole program in general. So that will be coming forward. To touch on the 25 rally in York, we are at 748 registrations. So I'm going to encourage everybody to make sure you get registered. We have a little over 1,000 powered sites, and then we'll be doing some boondocking. That is our 70th year for the club. So there'll be a lot of 70th related type things going on to continue to celebrate our club. And if you have not registered for the International Rally yet, and you do go online to do that, you will see we've added some what we call acknowledgement boxes just to reaffirm some of our things such as our cancellation policy, liabilities, as well as photo releases, things of that, just a little more clarification so our members are reading those. And the other thing I want to share with everybody today real quickly is that I think as everybody knows, Eric and I have been working with Airstream Inc., going to the dealers meeting. And when we were at the dealers meeting this year, Molly recommended that we do what we call a pre-sale video, or a video that helps introduce our club to those that don't know. So we have made that happen, and I'm going to play that for you today, hopefully. And this is going to be distributed with the help of Airstream Inc. through the dealer network and what they call their loop, like when you're walking into their factory, or I'm sorry, into their show floor, things of that nature. So hopefully all that will not be, whoop, I still got Jenny there. Hang on, wrong one. So hang on 1 second for me. There we go. Yep. Share. Right, but will this sound? I'm verifying on the sound. Share first and then you. Oh, okay. Is it good? Yep. Okay, here we go.
Enriching lives since 1955. The idea was simple. Traveling with friends who can share experiences and help you out along the way is a fun way to see the world. Rallies soon followed, and the rest is history. As a member of the club community, you're supported by a diverse group of seasoned travelers who are eager to help you get the absolute most enjoyment from your Airstream adventures. We are a national organization with local clubs located throughout the United States and Canada.
Shall we vote them in as members honorary of our club?
Each club is made up of club members with shared interests who come together to enjoy local events, activities, and dreams. Rally or simply join the party. A rally can be a weekend or a week-long event at one camping location. Themes vary from simple get-togethers, trailer maintenance, and specific interests to local attractions and festivals. Any club member can join any caravan. Couples, singles, with kids, without kids, and of course, with pets to explore the world.
Hi, I'm Lisa Piesinger,
I'm Mike Piesinger.
and we're so excited to be out here in Hamilton, Texas. We are camping with our 3 dogs, and we bought our Airstream in July of 2023 in Austin. And we did find out about the Airstream Club while we were purchasing it. And it just so happened, I mentioned to a really good friend of mine that we bought an Airstream, and she introduced me to her friend, Nancy Powers, who's very active in the Texas Highland Lakes Airstream Club. And Nancy invited us a week and a half after we'd had our camper to go to camp and go to a Air Newbie event, which was being hosted by the Texas Highland Lakes Airstream Club. And we learned all about basics of Airstreaming. I mean, it was absolutely incredible.
And having never owned a trailer, we didn't really know what we were in for, but the amount of information that we gathered there between the gadgets, the techniques, and just other people's kind of hidden secrets was amazing. And it would have been at least 6 months for us to accumulate all that information with trial and error. And we met great people. In fact, we met a great couple who lived 10 minutes from Austin. And then the other thing was leapfrogging into the International Club, which tied us into events such as a caravan, which just went on to the Big Easy. And it was fantastic. And obviously one of the byproducts is meeting all these incredible people who share similar interests from across the country. So we feel like we have a friend and safety network, and Florida to Maryland to Canada to Washington to San Diego. So the club definitely accelerated our use and enjoyment of our trailer.
So that is our newest marketing video. Can you get me back to where it is? Newest marketing video that we're going to work on getting that distributed to outside sources. The only other thing I have on my list is, and we've talked about it, but I cannot tell you how much the team appreciates Jenny's efforts and everybody who contributed to 707. We absolutely love it over there. Don't get too excited. We're only about 65% moved in. So all those empty shelves you saw, we have stuff that needs to be moved over, but we only took the essentials with us to continue day-to-day operations, and we're going to be working on a document retention, and we're going to be working on other things as we clear out 803 before all the other fun stuff starts happening here. So that is what I have for today. If anybody has any questions. Yes, Florence.
Lori, I thought I saw in your written report in the meeting book that you thought you might have numbers on Sedalia, and maybe this isn't the place to go there.
The financials will fall under Alan.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for me? Okay, that's it, Mr. President.
All right, thanks, Lori. I would imagine you guys are as impressed as I am. I hope, just to think of the things that HQ has done and the board has done in the last number of years. Just spot on all of it. So great job, Lori, and great job, team. All right, let's move now into committee reports. So first, our finance director, Alan. How are we doing from our quarterly report?
Good, thank you. Lori, do you want, can I just share from my screen here?
Yes, you should be able to without a problem.
Can you all see that okay?
Yes.
It's tiny-incy on my screen, so hopefully it's regular size on yours. So Okay, so got 9 pages to cover for you here. I'll get through them relatively quick and then take questions at the end. So cautionary note regarding some of my statements, I'll use words like believe and expect. We're in the middle of a period. We haven't closed the quarter yet. We're in this stub period, I call it, from August 1st to December 31st. So just to let you know that at this point, everything's estimates. Agenda I want to cover with you today. I've inserted a new report for you called the MD&A, Management Decision and Analysis Report. It's a fancy way to be able to say it's an executive summary at the beginning of this. If you read the board book, you would have seen that. I'll cover our 3 financial statements, where we are in reserves, and then where we are with some projects that we've got in flight with the Finance Committee. Here's the MD&A. So the stub period, it is hard to understand because there's no comparison to anything. So as you recall, when we approved the budget for the stub period, we did it on a pro rata basis. So for example, salaries. Salaries, we just took 5/12 of a full year salary, and that's what we established as the budget. And we did that with many of the budgets that we have. So the 5/12 budget's a pretty good guide as to where I think we're going to come out. The fiscal year change is, you are aware from all the conversation we just had a few minutes ago, it's underway with the IRS and the accountants. I spoke with Joe, our accountant, 2 weeks ago. He went on a family vacation last week. He got all my materials on Monday of this week. I got responses back from all the clubs except for just a couple in terms of certification for me to make the change, and I'm following up with them. So I should have more to come on that. Joe said he'd get back with me later this week about next steps. I suspect that'll be into early next week, to tell you the truth. He's digging out from being gone for a week. So that's underway. Okay, the International Rally. The headline, Florence, is just shy of $400,000 of profit, which seems shocking when you first hear the number, but you have to understand it and break it down into some component pieces. The pipe and drape charges and facilities charges were much, much lower than we anticipated. We only got charged for 20 hours of work for setup for all of the facilities, all the AV, all the tables, all the chairs, all the different buildings. They only charged us for 20 hours. And I spoke to Lori about that, and we didn't feel that was right. So we called them back and said, we owe you more money. It's just the right thing to do. And they came back and said, no, we're good. So we saved a substantial amount of money on facilities charges. Understanding our initial budget was only based on 1,000 rigs. We didn't know what the take rate was going to be on this, and we had 1,219 rigs, and so that generated about $100,000 of expenses. Now, with that, there was some extra charges for meals and all that in there, but it wasn't enough to take that extra $125,000 and substantially reduce it. We sold, and thank God Sherry's on board. We sold an incredible amount of exhibitor and sponsorship. And that's where Lori's really spent a lot of time, specifically with this job that Sherry's got now. Over the last couple of years, it generated just shy of $100,000. Swag savings due to sponsorships, and that's really probably one of the hardest things for us to forecast every year. You know, the goodie bags and gift bags and all that. We anticipate a certain expense, and to the extent that sponsors come and give us more I call them tchotchkes or dustables for those bags for free. That saves us a little bit of money. Golf carts were a little bit of savings. Food costs, you see, was some savings as well. And then, as we talked earlier, the donation commitment that we're going to make back in the work we've done with the foundation is about an $8,000 drain on that. You add all that up, it's about $400,000 of excess profit. Now you're going to say, well, you misplanned, you screwed up, you generated too much profit. No, none of that's true. We planned a pretty tight budget. We just had some unusual things prop up. York is a different story altogether. We're moving to the Northeast. Everything is more expensive in York. Meals are more expensive. The camping fees are more expensive. The facility rentals are more expensive. So we anticipate bringing the International Rally budget, and we kept the camping fees flat, more back in with what we've seen in the past, which is we're averaging about $90,000 or $100,000 of favorable expense or favorable income profit, if you want to call it that, on our rallies. And so we expect to be more in that neighborhood when we finish up with York. Excess cash. So this is going to generate some excess cash, and you're going to ask me, what are we going to do with all of that? But it's going to go basically to the 3 primary things: ensuring that our cash balances in our accounts are good, number 1. Number 2, making sure that we do what we passed and the motion that we passed back in May, which is contribute to our reserves. And that's a strategy that we laid out in May. And I'm pleased as punch that we can actually do some of that this year before the dues increase goes into effect next year. And then most importantly, maybe take a little clip off the mortgage, which would be really nice. Sean Bloom, your Region 12 president and finance committee member, spent a ton of time with Lori Tilton, making sure that the books were closed appropriately in line with AICPA standards. We opened the books back up and made, I think, 17 or 18 adjusting entries, and we did a lot of cleanup on the balance sheet as well. So the books closed up July 31st, I'd say tighter than they ever had been before. And big thanks to Sean and Lori for doing all of that. So I'm really excited about 2025 as we move into there. Dues increase goes into effect January 1st. And I think this financial health story is going to continue. I know it's going to continue into next year. All right, let's move to my standard schedules, my standard 3 schedules I share with you all every quarter. This one has no red on it, which is phenomenal. So just to lay the chart out for you, column 1 is last year's actuals. Again, they're not comparable because that's a full 12 months. The stub plan, that's August 1st to December 31st. And Gary Russo, thank you. I did not label these charts appropriately. I will do that in the future, so you actually understand what these dates are, but this is August to December. This is the plan y'all approved to lose $136,000. We anticipated making about 200 grand on the rally, and net coming at about $78,000 bottom line. Where we are right now is we're at about 67% of our expenses. 60% of the year is 60% of the stub period. 3 of the 5 months has elapsed. So we're at 67% of our expenses and roughly 60% of our revenue. So we're right on track with hitting the revised plan that y'all put in place. Here's the rally number that I just broke down for you, $433,000. That is not final yet. So that will fluctuate when I give my final report January 23rd. But right now, we're thinking we'll have about $300,000 to go against those three items I mentioned. Ensuring our cash is straight, our checking accounts have enough cash to pay our bills is an easier way to say that. Contributing to reserves and paying down the mortgage. So, and you can see off here to the right in comments, these are the headlines of what I just covered on the previous chart with you. Balance sheet, not a lot of activity on balance sheet other than I'll focus down in this equity section down here, okay? This equity section has a lot of blanks because, again, Sean worked real hard with Lori to make sure that we could reclass everything and put it in a general fund account. So balances that were here simply got zeroed out, so it's easier to manage things in one account than it is 3 or 4. So that is just simply a reclass to clean this up. And then the changes up here on the variances, the 2023 versus 2024, you did have some pretty large swings. Checking account down about 100 grand. Again, that's just paying bills. Other assets, we came down about 176,000 there and 544 here. That's all rally related because we had this rally that went into a different fiscal year. So it went different places. So that's what the large amount of that is. And then here's the profit you see down here that I covered in the previous chart, our forecast of profit. So that's where we are on balance sheet cash. You will have seen the cash kind of follows that previous chart on balance sheet. Here's the big drain, $544,000 reduction in prepaid dues. The balance was $949. It went down $544 because we took the rally fees that were paid in the last fiscal year and took those off the balance sheet and put them into the income statement, or the P&L, I say, into the P&L in this stub period fiscal year, if you will. And so that's the biggest change there. And then here's the cleanup that I talked about earlier from a cash standpoint. Not a lot of activity down here. Reserves. Okay, one of our CDs is expired. Lori and I did not renew that because we were able to get better rates in a money market account. Than we were in a CD. So we kept that in a money market account at a 4.8% interest rate. The nice thing about that is not only we generate more interest, number one, but number two, it's now liquid. It's not locked in a CD, which is awesome. So if you as an IBT decide that you need to invest in something, operational, technology, or capital, we've got liquid funds to be able to do that without having to cash a CD. So this stub period activity here, this $9,000 is simply the interest. And I allocate it proportionally, just like I did the beginning balances when we established all these accounts back in May. And so we're sitting at 211,000. I fully anticipate Lori and I are going to make this decision next week in terms of where we think we're going to land the year. I'm hoping to contribute at least $75,000 or $100,000 to reserves as we close the year. $75,000 or $100,000 off the mortgage and $75,000 to $100,000 to be able to get our cash straight in our accounts. We don't know what those look like yet, but I'm thinking in thirds. And so that will be nice to be able to get this reserve moving back in a positive direction again. And then the last one, the project's in flight. I made some little notes over here, some things that changed. As you all saw from my note, new finance committee member, Sally McDonald, her first charge is y'all have seen in the communication, and Jim and John have provided a lot of feedback on record retention, because Lori's got a lot of stuff, paper, over in the old building that she don't want to move to the new building if she doesn't have to, or if she can scan it, make it electronic. So she's working on record retention. She sent a note out just about an hour ago to schedule a meeting with Lori and I to talk about that. And then after she gets through with that, we'll put her to work on the standards to try to get some sort of, common standards on the treasurer position in all the clubs. And we'll certainly work back with all y'all in the regions on doing that. Active projects, the insurance project is still underway with Christine Kirk. Standard club and region reporting, Christine's working with Michael Junta on that. Lifetime membership project, that's now concluded. I won't go into all the details there, but we did a lot of work on this. And the headline you should know is our lifetime membership balance sheet account, and what we pull into income every year is now accurate to the penny. So that's in really, really good shape. Payment bank processing fees, Venmo, Square, PayPal. That slowed a little bit, given some of the decisions we made on charging back credit card fees, but Craig Fegley's still working on that. Fiscal year, we talked about rolling estimate process. Craig and I are going to kick off a process where we reforecast our budget at least twice a year, probably April and September type timeframe. So we actually understand where we are. U.S. Bank and the mortgage. I kicked off a project with them to understand prepayment penalties. That, in essence, is now closed, and I'm in a good place with U.S. Bank and where we are on paying down our mortgage. And then as we move into 1/1/26, we will have 3 separate sets of books officially. Lori's going to set up a QuickBooks account for the club, QuickBooks for International Rally, and QuickBooks for Caravan. They all operate under their own profit center, and they will all be reported out. So right now we are seeing 3 sets of financial reports from me: balance sheet, P&L, and cash flow. You'll actually start to see 9. So we're going to actually move that so you see 3 different profit centers. Projects that we closed, the 5/12 year, the balance sheet deep dive, I covered both of those. Sean and I spent a ton of time on inventory with Lori. And so that now has been finished, that we've made our inventory process and what we put on the balance sheet and what we expense much easier. So that's completed. Cash control at International Rally. For the first time, the finance committee actually led the cash control process at International Rally. I think that went pretty smooth. And just so there's not one signatory on selected accounts, the finance director, myself, is now a signatory on select accounts with Lori. So there's a dual control there. So it's not one person with access to everything. We've got checks and balances in place. That's it. So I'll take any questions that you've got. Let me see if I can stop sharing. I know I flew through that, but y'all are used to that from me by now. So what questions? Jenny, what you got? You're muted.
Outstanding job. I mean, that is a Herculean effort. That is just incredible what you guys have done in really a very short amount of time. I did have one quick question about the prepayment penalty. Did you get that out of there?
No. So here's the deal on the prepayment penalty. So over the term of our loan, it's a 5-year loan. I'm going to call it round numbers. It's $480,000. But let's just call that $500,000. So it's a $500,000 loan over 5 years. The prepayment penalty, if we were to pay the whole thing off tomorrow, would be $25,000. Okay. So think about it this way. For every 100 grand we pay off, we have to pay a $5,000 penalty. So if I pay 100 grand off the mortgage, I incur a $5,000 penalty, but I save $15,000 in interest
by
doing that. Now,
no-brainer.
I could waive the prepayment penalty, but my interest rate's going to go up from 6.8% to 8%. So my interest rate goes up. So it was a choice we made when we took out the loan. I didn't know all this, so I got underneath of it. I actually talked about refinancing it with another institution. I talked about, could we do something where we pay it maybe multiple times a year in smaller increments and sacrifice a prepayment penalty? The answer is no, can't do anything. So if I pay I hope I can pay 100 grand this year. I'll pay a $5,000 penalty, but I'll save over $15,000 in interest over the term of the loan. So I'm okay with it. So it's unfortunate, but given it's a commercial loan that's different than a residential loan, they're handled much differently than residential loans. The vector that 90% of us probably have is a residential perspective, which is the one I had. But now I've learned a little bit about commercial loans. And so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Florence.
This is like, we're like a real company now, Alan.
I'm
Okay, two questions.
I'm trying.
What is the insurance project in the in-flight portion of your last slide? And secondly, do you have a timeline yet for regions and local clubs being able to kind of consolidate for payment platforms?
That's great. No, so Christine Kirk is working on the insurance project. I'm gonna screw this up. It's either her brother-in-law or a stepbrother or sister-in-law, somebody in her family works for the insurance commissioner's office in Ohio. So that's wonderful. So what she's doing is she's looking at our insurance policies to make sure that we're properly covered for what we've got. What we've got now is basically you buy a policy and you get coverages for everything they offer in the policy. What she's looking at is a policy where we can actually choose. Maybe I need more on cybersecurity and I need less on liability coverage or whatever it happens to be. So we've got basically a policy now that covers us 600 grand on each of our buildings. We may not need 600 grand in each building. Maybe we need 900 grand on 707 and 400 grand on 803. So she's looking at the coverages we've got against all of that and talking about looking at do we rebid it? Do we not rebid it? Do we wait till ours expires in 2 more years and then look at rebidding it then? So she's just doing a kind of a look across the insurance policy to make sure that we're properly covered and properly balanced and we're paying fair fees for it. So good question. Oh, and then the second one was consolidation of bank accounts. No, that's quite frankly, it's just slowed. That whole project had just slowed. I just haven't put pressure there. I've been putting pressure other places. So I'll get back with Craig on that and see if we can't move to a solution that makes some more sense. But quite frankly, if I get an F in an area, I'd give myself maybe a D- in that area. I'm just not, it just hadn't been top of my list. So I'll get back on it.
All right.
So, Terry.
I'd just like to say how much I appreciate the professionalism that you're bringing to this task. I mean, I feel like we've had people that are really devoted to this role, but you have the skills and the devotion, and I am so impressed and grateful. The one other thing I'm grateful for is that you take the time to explain things in such a way that we can really understand it. And even if it takes a couple times telling us, you still do it with grace. And thank you so much.
No, thanks, Terry. I appreciate it. No, it's important. I mean, Eric said a number of times, and Jenny said it the other day, we don't have just a building anymore. We've got a whole campus. When you've got a whole campus and you're generating $4 or $5 million through our accounts every year, it's a big responsibility. And as you saw from Jenny's update, she established a professional office for our staff. We need to approach this professionally as well. So, but I appreciate the comments. So, John.
Could you go through all that again, Alan?
Yes, sir. I certainly will.
No, great job. You've added it. It's such a pleasure with your explanation that we've never had before, that we can see what's happening with the club, and we have a good, strong structure here. I'm very, very impressed.
Good. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Alan. And I just have to also, as president, thank the board. Some things happen by accident. This was not by accident. As you guys remember, probably just shy of 2 years ago, we made a decision that we really wanted to up a number of things on our finance. We wanted to up our ability to have transparency in our finances so our members can see exactly what we're doing, those who care. We wanted to have better financial reporting. We wanted better financial analysis and planning, and we wanted to build a reserve policy so that we're sustainable for another 70 years. And more importantly, do it in a way that you all, the board, who have oversight responsibility, can understand and engage. And so Alan and the Finance Committee and those who were on it before, I just want to really thank you guys for coming a huge way from where we were, a year ago, 18 months ago. So kudos on that one. Okay, let's move down to our next topic. We have a CBL report out from Jim Cock.
Right, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to wear another different hat in this great organization. I don't think I'm going to try all of them on, but this has been an interesting one since Halloween, which was too late to prepare and file a written committee report for this standing committee, so I'll present briefly now. My first item is an FYI. The current Constitution adoption date on our Constitution of record in the book and on the records online, it has the wrong adoption date on it, and so I'll be providing a motion to update that. It's just a small update. Y'all will recognize it. I'm developing with Lori Grassi and Joe Poplinski a shared file workbook of priority projects for the CBL committee. Would you believe we have somewhere around 60 items so far? Yeah, it's a big list, and they're issues that are not of equal importance, but we think that they're going to be important to the club that we fix these things. My time has been spent revamping current bylaws motions, big surprise, and researching club updates list. We've reviewed and replied on several local club updated CBLs. We've got more than a dozen others in progress. So now quickly, 4 priorities. I'm going to be fixing and sharing with each of you region presidents the Constitution and Bylaws update list for your respective units. Note, this is a patch job I'm doing. Our records are, they're a little spotty. I've gone through every record we have, and as Michael pointed out very succinctly at the beginning of the meeting, I'm a little out of date on that. Not my fault. I've looked at every record we have, but some of these just didn't make it into the record. So bear with me. I'll send that to you. We're going to finish the finance director and capstone motions. We'll get those finished and we'll get them to you. And I'll be talking about that again in a moment. And then finally, distributing the Constitution and Bylaws committee workload for next year so we don't burn anybody else out. We've had enough of that. We've got great people on the committee, really great people, and I'm looking forward to working with them for, maybe almost 2 months, maybe longer. We'll see. All right, that concludes my report. Any questions?
Thanks, Jim, for stepping in also to help. I know when you sort of retired out of your role as club president, you perhaps thought that you had some vacation time, but we're glad you're all in. As I mentioned to the board earlier, Jim has agreed to stay on as the CBL chair through February. I will be looking for any suggestions from the board on other people interested in the position. I want to make sure, and I know Jim does too, that whomever follows in his footsteps has the full support of the full IBT. So any suggestions you have, pass them on to me. You guys know a lot of more members than I do, particularly ones with a strong interest in serving our club. So, and then we'll come back through the EC probably in a couple of months or so and propose who we believe is the best candidate and interested in the time to follow on as CBL chair. So again, thanks, Jim, for jumping in there so quickly as well. Okay, so now I think we're ready for historical committee. And are you bringing Joe in, Lori?
Yes, we can. If you
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And I'm so excited. Joe's going to talk about one of the projects that is very, 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 very close to my heart. And I was just so pleased as Punch to hear about the progress they've made in the last year with Joe and David Gully and the historical team. So Joe, I see you there. Are you going to present your slides or do you want someone else to present?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think I can talk to the slides. And I thank you for the opportunity to provide this update because this isn't the normal annual update we get from the committee, but we have made some progress this year. as was
Hold,
mentioned
hold
during.
tight, hold tight. We got to get your slides up. Hang on a second.
We were not prepared for this, Eric.
I understand that. I understand that. I can just share on screen the packet if you guys wish. Hang on a second, Joe. Just a second. We'll get it up on the screen. Sorry about that. Why don't you keep talking and I'll get it up on the screen. Make sure I can share, Laurie. Okay, so back to you, Joe.
I have no idea how to share. So
yeah, I'll take care of that. I'll
Okay.
take care of that.
Yeah, so just lead in before we even get to the few slides that are thrown in here. Obviously, you mentioned during the historical center part, we have a large cache of documents, paper items in our archives. And, long term for retention, it makes sense to get as much of that digitized as we can because paper just keeps degrading over time. But also it makes it an easy way to share it with our membership. It does no good to have all this stuff locked in a room that nobody can access. So that's one of the initiatives I've been talking about for years, and we finally have got some momentum to start moving that. And let me know when people can see things. 'Cause
I believe we can see now. Is that correct, Lori? Can everyone see the screen now?
I'm seeing a black screen.
Me too. Black screen.
Try one more time. Sorry. Okay, awesome. We good now?
Yeah, so to get back, the historical committee is finally made some progress this year. And I'm not going to try to read it point by point, but we purchased a subscription to Smart Vault. It's an archival software and an unlimited cloud storage solution. We had some scanning tests where we addressed what I'm calling the big three items. I call them that because they're the most benefit for the least amount of time invested, and that would be to digitize membership directories because people always want to do big red number lookups. I answer a lot of emails on that, and it would be lovely if somebody had access to that other than the personal set of paper copies I have at home. Blueberry magazines because they tell a lot of the story of the club, and the early years, especially Caravan or newspapers that were published by Airstream, they had a lot of club activity information there. They were not actually focused as much on Airstream trailers. They were more on the things you can do with Airstream trailers. So all of that is the easiest way to quickly get some information out there for the benefit of our clubs. And I didn't include it in here, but I'd probably estimate that getting those three items scanned will be 2% of the process of digitizing what's in our archives. When you go beyond those kind of standardized work items, you get to all kinds of random documents and random photographs. Lori Robertson and I have spent months, and Lori Tilton, excuse me, can attest to the number of weeks we spent up through COVID at Jackson Center trying to organize our archives. And I will admit, since COVID, we haven't been down there doing that. So this is going to be a multi-year process. But if we got these first big three done, we would get the most benefit to for our effort, and then find a way to get this out to our club members to access that. So our scanning tests, we scanned it into Smart Vault software, which allows us to do searches and scans. It's got redundant cloud backup. We did the searches to make these searchable PDFs, so you don't have to read 50 or 100 or 300 or 500 pages to find some keyword there. So there's optical character recognition processing. It does increase file size significantly, but it's the right way to digitize this stuff. We can go to the next page. And just provided some, sorry, I was looking at the wrong screen. How about back one screen? I think I was looking at my the local version. So we did a membership directory test. There's really two types. The early ones were staple bound. We can flip those manually on a scanner. Post-processing to do the optical character recognition is not insignificant. Then we got a review for making sure we didn't skip a page or something didn't come out illegible. But we did a scan for that. And then you get from 71 to basically current. They're the glue-bound ones we're used to. You have to cut the spines off them. We've put them in and then make sure all the pages get separated properly and feed them through a scanner. So the scanning time is actually very fast because you can do that automated, but the prep time and the OCR processing time, because some of those get close to 500 pages in size, does take time. But all doable. And the fact that we can take it straight into software that's in searchable is great. Blueberry magazines, not as big. Those typically can be hand flipped on a scanner. You can see there we did a 48-page sample in 12 minutes. So think about 4 pages per minute. So those will go fairly fast. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scan problems because you'll be manually doing it. So those will be quick to do when we fully get down to doing it. Next page is the membership caravan of newspapers. These are very fragile, and I'm still working on making sure we have a complete set. The club set doesn't go through all the years, but it's all hardbound, and I would really hope to avoid cutting the spines off those books to do it. I've probably personally assembled a set through eBay purchases and that over the last 15 years of about 80% of the issues. We're missing some. I'll be probably tapping on the shoulders of Airstream to fill in the missing ones if we can, because it's a lot easier to take those loose newspaper ones and put them on a scanner. That goes fairly fast. We did an 8-page version, and most of them are 8 pages in 8 minutes, so it goes fairly quickly. I'd love to get all that done in the next. We don't have a schedule. Next year or two, if we get this going down where we now got the archives stored in Little Rock temporarily till the History Center is back up. David Gully being involved in the printing and scanning business, we can go to his office and get multiple parallel scanners going, have the person uploading it to Smart Vault, and we can churn through a lot of material in a short period of time when we have a group of people assembled to do that. So I'm sure next year we will be setting up the first session to really start churning through this. And then once we've got it scanned, we're going to figure out how to make it available to club members. And I do have a couple of other things that I've already got scanned. I've scanned all the aerial photograph that we have for international rallies, and I've provided that information to a number of people over time. And then more recent years, I've just been downloading the drone photos that people upload to our Facebook page. And I know Lori's had somebody at the international rally making sure they got some good drone shots the last couple ones, because the last time we had a plane fly over was 2011 or 2013. I forget the year to take those aerials. So that we can get up there. So I'm excited that we're making progress on this. But again, what I'm proposing here is like 2% of the big picture. But we got to start somewhere. And I just threw a little bit of blank space that we have put together a timeline, provided it to Lori and Jenny on a fairly comprehensive list of historical timeline things that affect their club. And it's way more than you're going to put on that timeline. I'm going to let them figure out which ones want to go on that wall that Jenny mentioned in her walkthrough. And I just noted our budget right now to cover the Smart Vault, archival supplies if we need to purchase any more, like acid-free storage materials, if we want to do a hardware backup of our cloud storage so that we personally have a copy and things like that. So that's what's going on right now with the historical committee, and I'm just starting to engage with Eric on the historical center. We'll talk more on that, I'm sure, in coming weeks and months.
Joe, this is fantastic. Thank you. So questions from the board for Joe. I see Jenny and then Michael.
Thank you. Joe, you're a treasure. You're a living treasure. Honestly, we all feel that. And I want to thank you. I know what's involved in what you're doing. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for it. And then to begin the next project for your new home for the Historical Center, to honor what we've done for 70 years. But more importantly, that you've kind of been our steward through this process. And I'm really grateful. I want to thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Well, good to see you. I know it's been a while since you and I have spoken. Quick question. Where do you think the bottleneck is in the process? Is it the number of scanners? It's the human load and unload time? What's your take on that?
Prior to moving the archives, which we did earlier this year down to Little Rock, Arkansas, it just was not conducive to do any significant amount of scanning in the old the old one 808, old one's 803, right? In the
803.
old building, it was too tight. There wasn't room. The one scanner they had there was not set up for, high speed process. So that was one of the bottlenecks that I think has largely now been solved. The other, when you get beyond these big three items, is the categorization and identification of all the items. There was a lot of stuff that was kind of randomly stored in maybe not in a logical place that you could find it. I've found personally a lot of stuff that was mislabeled as to what it really was. So there's the whole processing part. So once we get these big three done, there's going to have to be a level of, again, going back in and characterizing what we've got, cataloging it, and figuring out a plan of what makes best to scan next and get going on that. The trouble with that is more bodies isn't always better. You need to have people that have knowledge of what you're looking at. So I will say that myself and maybe a small subset of our historical committee, it will be the bottleneck on some of that. It's not, more manpower is better necessarily. When we get to scanning, absolutely, the more the better once we know what we're doing.
Thanks, Joe. Jim Cock.
Yeah, Joe, great report. I love the clarity and the precision of what y'all have done experimentally to figure out what this is. But I wonder, kind of two questions. And the first one you might not be able to answer, and let me say them both. First question is, so for the material that's on hand already, is it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to complete scanning? Second question is, if a local club or a region is holding their treasures and they want to put them in your hands, when would you want those and where? Thank you.
Okay. I don't remember if we've had something actually go out in the Blue Beret recently or on the Blue Beret blog. We've talked about it. David Gully represented the historical committee at the last international rally, and they set up a table, I believe it was near registration, I was not there, that people could bring stuff that they wanted to donate to the club archives. And I think we did pick up some amount of material there. I've not personally seen it. The retention is now at David's office down in Little Rock. So if people have things they want to donate, we can get you the correct address and mail them down there. I'll admit that long before we set this up, we were receiving tubs of things from regions that didn't want to keep it, from clubs that were folding. And when we moved the material down there, there were literally tubs of stuff that had been sent that we had not had time to process. So I don't think David is limited on space right now. And once we get back up to the historical center, we'll have more room to store things. So long term, I think we're good there. We probably will be putting a plea out for artifacts, especially for displayable, because you can't really display documents when we get to the historical center. I mean, this is a multi-year process. The timeline of getting all of this scanned, though, it's many, many years.
Only one way to find out.
Did I?
Competition, right? And as luck have it, one of the
I got somebody speaking over me.
Yeah, we need to try to mute somebody here.
I think it's Bob Ely because that's
Yeah, it is.
Jim, I will admit I talked a little bit. Did I answer all of your questions or did I miss something?
You answered them perfectly. Thank you.
Joe, again, on behalf of the club, thank you so much. One of the things I think I mentioned this in Sedalia. One of the things that's so phenomenal about our club is our history that differentiates us and the Airstreams from any other clubs, and just to preserve it is phenomenal. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing before I mute off? This is just off the spur of the moment. We did submit a nomination last year for Helen Byam Schwamborn for the RVMH Museum. I confirmed with the RVMH Museum in Elkhart that our nomination was again good for this year. I'm expecting by mid-January we will hear whether or not she is nominated this year, or sorry, if she's inducted this year. Should that happen, I'm hoping that we would plan a party at the induction ceremony, which unfortunately, timing-wise, I believe is like the week before the International Rally. So I'll let you know as soon as I hear something on that.
Fingers crossed, Joe. Thanks for putting that through again. And again, fingers crossed on that one. Thanks again, Joe, for everything. And also thanks for serving on the CBL committee as well. You never rested, it seems like, as your partner knows also. So thanks. Okay, now we're going to move to recruitment oversight. Jen's going to join us by phone, and you can take a look at her report online. So if you could bring Jen into the conversation, that'd be great. Jennifer Dice, if that's possible.
Yeah, she's coming in right now.
Okay. Okay, once you unmute yourself, Jennifer, you're good to go.
All right. Are you guys able to hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So as Jim stated, this report was submitted, as you can see, in early mid-November. So I have a couple of corrections that will be made, and then I'll provide that corrected version for the minutes. The December timeframes will now happen in January, and Jim and I have been working together to ensure that the recommendations from the capstone and the finance director are well integrated into the bylaws and policies, and they will be easy for the IBT and members to read and understand. Since the last report, you will see in my update that 2 members of our committee and I have been participating on the capstone to develop recommendations for removing ambiguities in the Blue Book regarding international terms of service for officers. So for our next steps, we are going to be reviewing and understanding those updated roles and responsibilities of the committee as outlined by the new bylaws and policies that will be presented in January. We are working on a project plan for the next election cycle with a timeline and milestones to be achieved. And then this is my 3rd correction to this document. And I'd like to thank Florence for actually giving me a call and talking about this to make sure that she was looking at the right place. The correction is to the subsection that I noted. It should be 1 Bravo, not 1 Delta. So we had a request to address and review the language of bylaw Article 8. That's essentially in section 4, it speaks to the electioneering and what you cannot say as an officer. And on the EC. So we will take a look at that language and provide an update on that. For now, that's all I have. Thank you for allowing me to present. What questions do you have for me?
Okay, I see no hands raised from the board. Do we have any comments, Lori, from members on either? I forgot to ask on the historical or CBL or CAPS or leadership recruitment.
No, we don't.
Okay, Jennifer, thank you so much for all the work on that. And you'll get your new your updated report out by when, so we can include it in the final packet or the final notes? Those are questions. Sorry.
I have it updated on my computer now, so I just need to transfer it over to Lori.
Awesome.
I will have that done by end of day.
All right, thanks for your work on that. Thank you much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next item, we don't have any unfinished business. Lori, do we have any members' comments on non-agenda items that came in? Oh, I see you there, Gary. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm not
No,
sure.
we had nothing submitted.
Okay, so I got Gary and then Jim. Comments?
Yes, I'm taking this as a time for putting in new correspondence. Is that correct? Is member comments?
Yes. What? Yeah, it's correspondence to the IBT. So yes, if something from a member came to the IBT, this is the time to introduce that. Did we have correspondence we missed to the IBT?
Right. Well, this. I didn't see that at the beginning. I have a note here, Madam Secretary. I have a letter of concern sent to me with an attachment on November 23rd of 2024. This letter is has an attachment, which was also sent to the complete IBT. And I would like to either read or have them attached to today's minutes.
I'm not opposed to that, Gary. I'm just checking from a process standpoint. Lori Grassi, what is our process for that?
She had to
to
leave.
drop off.
I can tell you, Eric, typically our process has been that anything submitted either needs to go to the secretary of the IBT, which would be Terry, to be
Right.
officially submitted, and or through our method online.
Right.
Is the two methods.
Okay, so I will send it to Terry. I also have a
Yeah.
second letter from the financial director on December 3rd of 2024, responding to my questions personally that I sent to him. I'd also like that letter or responses put into the meeting notes.
Let's do this, Gary. So at the end of the meeting, we have the opportunity for region presidents to talk about things that are related or came to them directly. Typically in the member comment to the board, it's stuff that came to the board or was on an agenda item. So I'm not trying to hide anything, but let's do it as part of your region update, because these are sort of things that came to you personally that you wanted to have in. And in the future, let's try to get them into the agenda ahead of time, because both of these okay. So don't forget those. Hold on to those. We're going to go to you guys next. In fact, I'll start with your region first when we go around the table. All right. So was there any other member comment to the board on items? I guess no, that came in. Okay. We don't have any consent items. New business? Any new business?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have one. I mentioned in my report that we have a incorrect date on the Constitution that is our current record. I'd like to make a motion to amend that reference language. May I?
Sure.
Okay. Terry Warren, I will send you this motion verbatim, but it is, I move to amend the reference language at the close of the Constitution to reflect the accurate date the document was last changed to June 27, 2024. There's no financial impact. And,
okay.
And I need a second, right?
I'll second.
Yes, okay, second. All right. So discussion.
You want background?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Who seconded that?
Kathy
Giese.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay. The background is that when we updated the Constitution last summer, we failed to remove the previous reference language, which every local club and international, we always have the reference language at the end, which shows it was approved by what body and what date. We failed to update that last summer. My apologies on behalf of my committee. And so that's why I brought this motion today.
Okay. So we have some comments. Michael first and then Gary.
Yeah, Jim, I'm a visual person. I got the Constitution open on another screen here. So where specifically are in the Constitution, which article and which section, please?
Yeah, Michael, great question. I'm sorry. It's the last page of the Constitution, which is that Constitution is on our electronic files. And if you've downloaded and printed one, you'll see it. It's the last page, and it shows that we last updated it in Freiburg, which is not a correct fact.
So what you're saying is, that it was last updated to what new date?
June 27, 2024. That would be following
Which
the
is a reference to Article 8 Executive Council, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what?
Which is referencing the date under Article 8 Executive Council, correct?
Yes, that's the section that shows a change. Also, Article 7 shows a change. In other words, whenever we make a substantive change to any section, we add that date in those sections. However, the last page, whether it's your local club or international, the last page shows the adoption date of the most recent copy, and that is incorrect. Okay.
Got it.
Thank you, Michael. Good question.
Okay, Gary?
Jim, does this change of the Constitution need to be voted on by the membership?
No, that the membership had already voted upon this. This language that's in the Constitution was already voted upon. This is just the reference language at the end, which shows when that change was instituted, right? We're not changing any language in the Constitution. This is the reference language on the final page, which says this Constitution adopted July 27, 2022 at the delegates meeting in Freiburg, Maine. Obviously, that's not correct.
Or you're just changing the date that the vote was taken?
That's correct, Gary. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, I still see some puzzled looks around. Go ahead, Lori. I can try to find it and share it if I can find it.
Yeah,
Lori.
so it basically what Jim is pointing out, and sorry, Jim, I'm gonna it's a clerical error. If everybody looks at our Constitution in the top right, it says issued 6/27/2024. So that was the last day last time that Constitution.
Okay, Lori, I'm going to screen share this, and you can
Okay, great.
tell me where to go to on this, just so that we.
Yeah, it's page 7.
Hang on a second. Hang on. I'm not that fast. I'm trying to screen share this.
He can't listen and move at the same time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can you guys see this now?
Oh my gosh. This type is so small.
well, finger spread it. There you go.
Yeah.
If anyone else wants to do this, they're welcome.
All right.
I'm struggling on this. Hang on a second. Wasn't ready to share this. Okay, can you guys see this now?
Can you go to the last page, Eric? Page 7.
The last page.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's better.
What the heck is? Okay, hang on a second.
You got the new Adobe up is why. It's awful.
Okay, so I think this is the last page here, 7 of 7.
There you go. Thank you.
So what I was trying to explain, and thank you for sharing this. So if scroll up a little bit, Eric, and everybody will see on the top right, keep going.
To the top of the page.
The top.
There it is.
See where it says issued 6/27/2024? That was when the last time this Constitution was updated and sent out. And what we do when we do these changes, then we send it back to the committee to review. And this is just basically a clerical error. And then at the bottom of that same page where it says this Constitution was adopted, that should match what it says issued, is what Jim is trying to say.
Okay, so Jim, just start from scratch and tell what your motion is again, then now that we have this background.
All right. So I move to amend the reference language, that's the last line there, at the close of the Constitution to reflect the accurate date the document was last changed to June 27, 2024. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Ginny, then Michael.
Thank you. You'll want to then also continue the sentence so that it doesn't say at Freiburg, Maine.
Right.
Correct?
Of course, that's correct.
Okay, so can you read the sentence as you'd like it to appear?
I move to amend the reference language at the close of the Constitution to state this Constitution adopted June 27, 2024. Period.
Then it's period. Okay. Thank you.
Michael?
So maybe I'm wrong here, but I thought the intentions of the last part of these constitutional documents name a location. Now, we know that on that date in 2024, it was not a location. It was a, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a virtual vote by the membership. So maybe we should add that as such to be transparent and consistent of what actually happened.
The language we use is electronic. That's the language recommended in the model constitution for all of our local clubs to use. So we would then say by electronic vote of the membership. Thank you, Michael.
That's acceptable. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, without objection, the motion passes. Any objections? All right, so passed. So by the way, in the future, I think this could have been handled under what's called errors and omissions. I wish Lori was here, Gracie, but in general, when a board records something in its bylaws or motions or actions, if there's a minor omission, like a period where it shouldn't be, or a comma, or a wrong date, this typically can be handled ministerially through what's called errors and omissions. Because you can imagine with any people involved, there, if you look back through what got transcribed, there will be some inconsequential errors and omissions. And this is probably one of those. So given the heightened sensitivity of this topic, I'm glad we talked about it. But I think, Jim, that in the future, we could have proposed this with Lori Grassie's background and thoughts as a standard E&O type of correction.
Understood, and I agree with you. Yeah.
All right, sounds great. Thank you for that, for talking us through that. Thank you for the board for that discussion. All right, that concludes new business. Let's go to region discussions. Gary, let's start with you.
Yeah, first off, I've been in contact with Debbie Wood, and I've put out a call for people to help support the York rally. Actually, she sent me a note saying that there are already 225 rigs from Region 2 that are planning on participating at that. So that was really a good thing for me because we had been pushing it from our side. So she's gotten a number of responses to her questions, staging areas, route information, things of that nature. So we've already started to populate those inquiries from her. I have, as I said, I have a letter of concern that was sent to me on November 23rd, 2024. The letter also had an attachment, and it was the whole letter and the attachment was sent to the complete IBT.
I did not receive it, Gary, and I'm part of the IBT.
I did not receive it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I would have to go back and look.
Well, we're not gonna hide it. And Gary, can you just
right.
tell the gist of it, and then you can send it to the IBT, and that way it's in the formal minutes, and we'll put it in the.
It was a letter from the CBL committee back, and it was addressing the issue of term limits. That was the gist of the whole thing. There was a very in-depth study. It's probably about 7 to 8 pages in length, going through it. If you want me to, I can read the whole document, but I'd just rather put it in as minutes so that people can look at it and have an opportunity to review it. The second letter I have was I sent to Florence, and she had asked for questions for the financial director. I did send a number of questions to Alan, and he did give a quite lengthy responses to all the questions. I feel that they should be in the meeting minutes so that it would help clarify a lot of the boxes that he ran through at his presentation.
Alan, are you still on, Alan?
Yeah, I'm here.
That one might be simpler because if you can just go through those right now, and that way we're taking them off the table. I think you addressed some of those already. Gary, would we be okay with that with you if Alan just goes through those right now? And that way we get that done with so that the whole board can see at the same time and not put it as a separate item. Okay, let's do that. So let's pause on the region, roll through. Alan, talk about the whatever email that was.
Yeah, let me
find that didn't go to the whole board, I don't think. So we work together as a board.
No, he just sent it back as response to the region presidents.
Okay, so typically we try to govern as a board, but that's why I want Alan to talk about it now. We're all together as an IBT. Because if it has significance to the financial report, I want the whole board to understand what those questions were and what his answers were. Okay?
Yep, sounds great. Can you see that email there?
Not yet. No.
Now can you see it?
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So the first one was on what is the definition of EBITDA? And so what I'm going to summarize some of this just because I don't think I need to read all the ands, these, and therefores. So what I simply did was said that we covered it in the strategy meeting, but just for a further description, I put the slide in that I covered for EBITDA and described what EBITDA meant. The headline is it's basically another word for cash before you get to your debt, interest, and taxes is what it is. And so I just was trying to align us more closely with the way large corporations look at things. And so that was one question. PPT dues, I use an abbreviation in my schedules. It means prepaid dues. So I responded affirmative to that. The prepaid dues count money from 2024 IR. Why did the balance change as much as it did? It's the bulk of what's in the account. There's also prepaid dues in there for membership as well. Since we moved a fiscal year. The acronym AR stands for accounts receivable. Again, another abbreviation I used. We know what EBITDA and prepaid is. The question of what's the value of reporting it that way, it's what I just described to you, that is looking at it from basically a modified cash perspective. What's the real profit from IR? I said it's in slide 30 and 31 in the deck. It's 433,000, which I just covered, and I just said I'm unapologetic for the profit. So people made a comment that said, and this next one, it's my understanding the IRA was not a moneymaker. And so I just said, I'm not apologetic for the profit. Here's the reason why. We sold the hell out of sponsorships and vendor booths. And York's going to be different. And then when you come down to about it being a moneymaker, I said, that's never been the approach. We're a 501c7. 501c3 is a charitable organization, which we're not. We are not for profit. We've made money on IR every year since 2010, except for 11 and 19. 19 was COVID. And you can find a history on this in slide 42 from the strategy meeting deck and my Q2 and Q1 IBT updates from this past fiscal year. It appears that rally money is using to fund operations. I'll come to that in my comprehensive conversation down below. 33, there's $949,000. I think that was the balance sheet on the prepaid account. I'm sorry, this was cash flow, and 544,000. What happened? It's page 2. The balance sheet shows the balance as of the close of the period, which I just covered, versus the periods on slide 33 is a cash flow statement that shows the actual changes in cash in the accounts. So I described that when I went through the things just a few minutes ago and basically say that here as well. How are you funding the operating loss on page 31? Specifically, the operating loss of we lost $100,000+ in the last fiscal year. I've got a more comprehensive explanation below. What's included in other assets? I just basically say what's in the other assets accounts here and describe it all. IRS filing showed a loss of $139,000. Looking back over the last 5 years, the clubs accrued $500,000 in losses. That is true. That's actually true. And I give a more comprehensive. So here's the more comprehensive. So the $500,000, I said that's why we increased dues, is because we and I wrote about this in the Blue Beret article as well. I know some members were not happy with the decision, but that's what we'd be in a very different place if we didn't take a dues increase, similar to what happened to the FMCA Diesel Club article that I forwarded to all y'all, I don't know, about a month or 6 weeks ago. I calculated sensitivity for attrition in my estimates for the impact of the dues increase. Bottom line, we're hedged for our budget for 2025 properly, I believe. The club simply could not sustain the way we were operating, much less pay a mortgage, bills, or replenish reserves. Much like many of our personal lives, at least mine, when I was working and saving money, you do everything you can to pay bills with whatever cash you have available to avoid touching your retirement savings. This case, our CDs are our retirement savings in the analogy. We've been using from cash from everywhere we could to protect our CDs and pay our bills. It's the only choice you have when the income you take in doesn't cover your expenses. Again, another reason for our dues increase. That came a little late in our club's history, but it's at the right, we're going to get healthy again. One of the reasons for the constitutional changes by putting a person in the finance job is for exactly this reason. The club's grown in size and scale, and the simplicity certainly couldn't be handled by people without the right skills to lead our club at all levels, from the president all the way down to all of y'all and EC and IBT members. You have to have the skills to have these jobs. We're in the process of rebuilding our club for today, tomorrow, and the future. There will be regular dues increases going forward to keep up with inflation and continued pressure on expenses. And I write about this in the Blue Beret article again, in terms of how I thought about that from a vision standpoint. And then I had another question that came in about why did the caravan lose money last year? And so I outlined the process for caravans. And so that's in here as well. Basically, what I'll do is I'll recap this real quick. Headquarters maintains payments and websites for caravans. They also absorb the credit card fees, which is really important to understand. The caravans pay headquarters a fee on a per participant basis for support. It's about $25,000 a year. As a side note, I've already aligned with Ray Combs on making sure that number is no longer 25,000. It should be 41,000 through a cost-based analysis I did on what headquarters, where they spend their time. Smaller caravans pay a smaller fee. Any excess in the kitty of a caravan goes one of two places. It either refunds back to the caravan participants or the National Caravan Support Fund. Cancellation fees by caravans is retained by the caravans. So said differently is when a credit card is charged and there's a fee charged and the headquarters absorbs that, if somebody actually cancels that deposit, if there's any credit given back from the credit card company for that credit that goes in, that doesn't come back to headquarters to be able to offset the initial fees. So last year, the fees that paid did not cover the cost of credit card fees and administrative costs, so we lost $7,000. Said differently, the payment to headquarters and the credit card fees did not equal. There's not been enough money historically to cover credit card fees and headquarters support, so headquarters absorbs it. In 2026, I've got alignment from Ray Combs that caravans will begin paying their own credit card fees, and then we're going to move the charge back to headquarters from $25,000 to $41,000 for the support that headquarters provides. And so that was the responses to, and I had a little snarkiness in there too. So that was the headquarters, the responses I had back to the region presidents for their questions.
Okay, thanks, Alan. So just in general, the board, right? So I think I want to make sure that y'all are comfortable sending emails amongst each other. We typically don't. Our emails are not, as I would say, discoverable in a sense that everything I write or you guys write will be put in front of a board on public meeting. So thank you, Alan, for sharing your personal email. I appreciate that. Typically, that should have been brought up during the finance director's report, any questions or concerns. So are there any follow-ups to or any additional questions about the finance director report? Thank you, Gary, for your question. They were great questions. Thank you, Alan, for your answers. Great answers. Any other concerns that need to be brought up by the board to Alan or the team? All right. Similarly, I want to look to Jim Cock on the next topic. The other one you referenced, I think you said it came from the CBL chair. So Jim's the new CBL chair. So what did the CBL chair send out before, Jim Cock, and how do you want to handle that in terms of discussion?
All right. Well, first, I believe we understand that Gary is referencing a letter or an email that was sent out previously to IBT members, right, Gary?
Yes.
Okay. And if that's so, then what's the purpose of bringing it up if the IBT members were sent it already? And this is, I believe, by a former member of the CNBL committee, not by the CBL chair. And we also have Lori Grassi with us now, in case we have to understand how we handle these. Go ahead, Gary.
I just wanted to get that information documented because there's been a concern that as we've gone through this, there has been a hodgepodge of documentation. And I just wanted to get that information out onto the table so that, everybody's looking at the same information.
Okay. That information was not authorized to be shared with the IBT members. It was private work, committee work. for use only in committee. So it was shared without authorization. Therefore, it's not appropriate for it to be shared any further with any other group. Do you agree?
It's my understanding that that particular document was then forwarded to someone that did not did the review and decided that it was not worth being distributed. That's my impression.
My predecessor, the esteemed Brad Briggs, who had great interpretations and judgment on all matters CMBL, had previously ruled that that document was fraught with problems and was still in committee only. It never left committee. As somebody pointed out in an email to me, that letter that was sent out showed a document that had no signatures from the CMBL committee. Well, there's a reason for that. It's not a finished work. So no,
I'm
that
just
is not
bringing it out as a letter of concern that was sent out to all people.
Jason Condell.
I defer to Lori Grassi on this. Thank you.
Well, as I reported to the region presidents on the 25th of October, this was an incomplete document and it wasn't signed off on by the CBL committee at all. And in an email from then CBL Chair Briggs to actually, I'm not sure if it went to the whole IBT or just the EC, but it said that it's not what's best for the club and it's an interpretation and not a governing document, which takes me back to the guidance that I have given all of you in multiple meetings, that if it's not in the Constitution, the bylaws, and the policies right now, they're just opinions. And that applies to the transition report, to the statement of interpretation that is incomplete. And I believe if you polled the CBL committee members, they all would say that it's incomplete. It was never finalized. So you as board members have an obligation to look at proposed motions in front of you based on the merits of the words. So just vote your conscience or what your members expect you to vote on their behalf on any particular motion. I don't see that the statement of interpretation is relevant to distribution when it's incomplete.
Okay, so I'm going to make a decision on this one. I suspect that at our next meeting in January, Capstone will bring forward a series of motions. And during that section, if any of the board members or public have concerns that reference any other document, any other concerns, any other beliefs, any other perspectives, any other determinations, bring it up there, right? Because that way everyone has the thing. We've had our 2 weeks to look at it. It's not surprise. And that if any member, by the way, who's watching, we have a very well-defined process for communicating with this governing body, not individuals of the governing body separately, but with the whole governing body. And that process is very clear, right? And that process is that either by, in fact, if you look on airstreamclub.org/IBT, there's a section about if you want to make a comment. And it's either by email, and then it goes out to everyone, or it's by voicemail, or it's by whatever. So if any other member has a concern about an agenda item that's coming up, or something off, then use that format to record those concerns and objections. Okay, but let's not spring it in the middle of a meeting, particularly when the rest of the board has no visibility to it and it doesn't even come from a committee chair or past committee chair. All right, Terry?
So I'm not including these two letters in the minutes, or
Correct,
these
that's
two
right.
emails?
That's correct.
Thank
That's
you.
correct. Alan addressed it in his, it's in the minutes already. And Jim, as current CBL chair, addressed it as well. And again, if anyone has any residual concerns or comments, send something to the board or send it to the member comment line, and you all will have, through the study session I announced, which will be on January 13th. The study session, Gary, as I mentioned, will be broadcast. So any member of the public, the members can join and ask questions. And you guys are going to spend a fair amount of time, I would imagine. So bring it up then if it's still a residual concern. And also in the voting meeting, which will be on, I think Jim and Jen said it'll probably be on the 23rd. You'll have equal opportunity there too to bring it up and register any concerns or bring up any other considerations. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So we did Region 2, Region 1, and we'll go around the table.
All right, so Region 1, we've been in process of signing up for the 70th anniversary Nova Scotia Region 1 rally, which will be taking place in early September. This is a 70th anniversary event with the founding of the club, with the plaque, the Airstream plaque, and Kentville, Nova Scotia. Dale Schwamberm, I met with him in Sedalia. He has agreed to join us. So we will be flying him in for this event. I do want to warn there are other club presidents that have Canadian regions. The exchange rate's very high right now. It's at a 5-time high. And let's just say that was a sticky issue that had to maneuver. What is the price of these rallies? And you can't say a price is a price because US dollars versus Canadian dollars are two very different things. So luckily, in working very closely with Robert Mantha, the Quebec Maritimes president that's quarterbacking this rally, we had to maneuver through this. So just a little word of caution to those of you who are dealing with the Canadian counterparts, that exchange rate is at a 5-year high. We have solidified a location for the Region 1 rally for 2026. That'll be a Gunstock Mountain in New Hampshire, and it's a destination type event. It's not just a field with hookups in it. It's a beautiful mountain resort. It's an, again, September time period where the weather will be wonderful. We've been very busy within the region dealing, as Alan mentioned briefly, trying to standardize on financial reporting through the clubs. There's still a little bit more tweaking. I'll be working on that this weekend, of giving each club a simplified, standardized way of financial reporting so their members have transparency. We completed our first regional call to presidents meeting. And we're having much more involvement of cross-pollination between the local clubs. One of the biggest things I got out of our survey was that the number one reason why our membership joined the club was to meet new people and make new friends. So in order to best suit those requirements for our membership, I believe that we need to focus on the members being able to get to know each other in various ways. I love that they're involved in their local club. I think there's nothing wrong with that in any fashion. However, let's create different avenues for them to find other methods of meeting other club members by having joint rallies, co-rallies. We're doing stuff between the regions. Gary Russo and I are having a rally in New York together, Region 1, Region 2 rally. We're neighboring regions. We travel into each other's zones. So we're trying all sorts of different methods to enhance that experience for our membership. So I'll keep it brief. That's what I got for now.
Thank you, Mike. It sounds really exciting. Thank you. Okay, Region 3.
I think Bob is gone. Bob is no longer on the call.
Yes, and unfortunately he was not able to get a stand-in. He stepped off. Thank you, Lori, a few minutes ago. Thank you. Region 4.
Yes, good afternoon. Along with being in full preparation for our region rally in May, that's going to be in Lewisburg, West Virginia. I just wanted to make a comment that a lot of the things that were highlighted today in this meeting really stood out in my mind. I've been a member of this board since 2019 as a second vice president. And this club has come a long, long way in changing, this is no particular order, but changing the semi-trailer out to a container that just did tremendous things for the international rally, protecting our equipment that we transport every year.
Yeah.
We got a new office building, finance committee and a new finance director. Long ways from a treasurer that was there for 1 year. The change in our leadership structure, giving us the council with 2-year terms, instead of one. And the fact that as an IBT, we meet more often now than they used to. These are all wonderful things that this club has done, moving in a forward direction. So.
Thank you, Fred. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and all you all should pat yourself on the back because it's because of the decisions and strategies you guys have made. So thank you, Fred. And of course, Fred, thanks so much for your work in 707, and you guys busted out there. So thank you so much. All right, Region 5.
Hey, Eric, thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. John Deegan here from my corner of the heartland, and I can report that we are now at 21 degrees Fahrenheit outside. That's ugly. Even our cat doesn't want to get up today. She's a little chilly. I want to report that Region 5 is very actively planning our 2025 rally, May of 2025, and this is going to be an exciting rally for us. We're going back to Indianapolis, to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're going to spend 5 wonderful days in Indianapolis, spending time at the Speedway, in the town of Speedway, downtown Indianapolis. And as of last night, we had 40 registrations with 75 people already registered for this rally. So it's going to be a great time next year. And I just want to say thank you for everything I've heard today. I agree with Fred. His comments are, I'm right with him. And that's it for me here in the Heartland. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, John. Just and that alarm, if you guys heard it, was on my side. We just got a tsunami alert.
Oh my.
Mind you, we're 30 minutes inland from the coast. I don't think it applies to us, but it's like, what the heck is going on? So sorry about that surprising audio. It overrode all of my Apple Watch things. So thanks, John. And by the way, I got a chance to take a preview trip with John, looking at where the rally is going to be. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to have a blast there. And congratulations for getting that going. That is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Okay, Region 6.
Oh, it's nice to be here, and I'm ditto on what everybody's saying. It's a great job that everybody's doing, and I'm proud to be a part of it. First of all, I'd like to just say we are in Region 6. We're winding down our year. Many Christmas luncheons are planned. I get all the information from all the people, the different clubs, for the invite. I wish I could attend them all. We're making plans for next year. Everybody's getting their schedules up to date and hopefully have the rallies planned for the future. I was able to talk with Jim Cock this week and check on our CBL updating, and he gave me some insight on that, and it looks like we're in good shape there. But the main thing that we're working on this year is the region rally that will be in 2025. This will be David Gully's. He will be president at that time. It's going to be at the Ridge, September 24 through 28. It is going to be jam-packed with activities, fun, entertainment. People from everywhere have signed up to come. It's really going to be exciting. There's 150 rigs already signed up. That's 320 people. With that being said, there has been another campsite established, and there's still a handful of sites that can be obtained, but you need to contact David Gully personally to reserve one of these sites. But we will get the information out to you. Like I said, it's exciting. Even if it fills up, get your name on a list, because we always have cancellations in the camping world. Life does get in the way, and we have changes. So everybody stay on board, keep up with this, and we'll see you in Tennessee. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Yeah, you guys are rocking over there. Laverne and I are gonna head out there. We wouldn't want to miss a Razorback get together. You know that. So
I
sweet.
know
Thank you
that.
so much.
We're excited to have you, Eric.
Region 7.
Chris left, and I don't think Chuck is here. No.
Okay. All right. Region 8. Where's 8? Did we lose 8 also?
I had to unmute myself there.
There you are, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Region 8 being the host for Sedalia this year, out of 2,478 people that attended that region, we had 314 from Region 8. And our emphasis this year on that being the host region was on volunteers. And getting together with Jenny, we started this year for the first time having ambassadors. And I remember Jenny called and we put out a call for volunteers for the ambassadors just to Region 8. And I think she told me within 2 or 4 hours, we filled every spot for the ambassadors. And I think the ambassadors was a huge success this year. Thank you, Jenny. I think you had a great time with it as well. And we also had Rose Garland this year did the Blue Jeans for Bothwell Foundation and raised over $10,000 for that. That was a huge success as well. For 2025, we're going to Amana, Iowa, and we're going to be there during their MyFest. And it's exciting. Everybody that I've talked to, we've had a lot of inquiries, and we're putting together the plans for that. And that's going to be in May. So that's it from here.
Thank you, Rick. And again, just thanks so much for your region and hosting it. It was just a phenomenal rally. And I think we'll probably get the survey results out at some point soon as I finish collating and stuff like that. So great job. Region 9.
Hey, thank you everyone for everything that you're doing on behalf of all of us over here in Region 9. We really, really appreciate it, whether it's the renovation at the headquarters building or all the work that you're putting into the new CB&L documents. Everything is just amazing. And of course, Alan Rabb over in finance is just blowing us all away. So Region 9, we're loving all you're doing, and we sure appreciate you. So for us, we've got Streaming on the Strand coming up. And if you've never been to a Texas Mardi Gras, one of these days come to this one. We sell out super quick, so we're sold out, and we do have a good size wait list. So as Jan said, there's always cancellations and rallies, so don't hesitate for that wait list. If you want to come to a Texas Mardi Gras, this is the one to come to. It is a national event rally, and it's February the 20th through the 23rd this year, and it's on the lovely historic island of Galveston. And John Hawley joined us last year, and he had a really, really good time. So encourage all of you to consider that someday. The other thing that's coming up is our Region 9 rally, which we're doing a spring rally in Edna, Texas at Brackenridge Recreational Complex. And our theme is Escape to the Country. And it is a beautiful, beautiful country to escape to. Lots of trees. The campsites are organized in friendship circles. So is that not the perfect place to have a Region 9 rally? It's going to be this year, in March. And we are not quite sold out, but we're approaching that. So you guys, if you want to come join us, look on the website and sign up for that dates of March the 26th through the 30th. And then we have one other national event rally that's coming up right on the heels of that. So Region 9 is busting with all these rallies. But in April, the 24th through the 25th, we have our Stitchin' and Fishin' rally at Hillsboro, where the ladies all get to work on their quilts and sewing projects while the guys go out for guided fishing trips. And this was such a huge success in its inaugural year in 2024 that we applied for National Event Rally status and received that. So 2025 will be the first National Event Rally year for this rally that's in its actual second year. So we're just having a lot of fun rallying. And if we survive the spring, we'll have lots of fun in the fall. So y'all come down to Region 9 and enjoy us in Oklahoma and Texas. We've got lots of stuff going on.
Thank you, Tracy. You always make me smile. That's fantastic. And we had a great time. Laverne and I did in Bandera last year with the Region 9 folks, man. That was
a lot of fun.
Serious deal. Thank you so much. Region 10.
Thank you, Eric. Well, one of the things that I was hopeful to really get off the ground in during my term as region president is to develop a region caravan program. And our first one is going to run next September. What the intention was is to offer shorter duration caravans to make them more accessible to a bigger number of people. And this one is going to run from all the way up the coast from northern Oregon to northern Washington State. It'll end at a wooden boat festival in Port Townsend, Washington, and it sold out in about 8 minutes yesterday. And I'm just hoping that we can get caravan leaders and just have more and more of these. They're not just for Region 10 members. Hopefully, this is something that spreads maybe into other regions. I think it's just a great opportunity to kind of bring something new that's not, an 8 or 10 week commitment for a national, for national caravan. I just want to kind of report quickly. We've had some really good region presidents forums, and everybody is really engaged in talking about ways to make our club better. One of the things that we're talking about is vouchers that local clubs would give out to Explorer program members to encourage them to come to a rally. So a free first-time rally voucher. We talked about joint region rallies. I think Michael brought that up. 1 and 2 are doing something like that. And I've talked a little bit to Sean about maybe doing something up and down the coast here. Again, a way to bring a bigger, more diverse group of members to rally together. And then, we've talked about some of the difficulties that we have, the speed at which some things sell out. We end up, as region presidents, I know I do, getting unhappy emails from members who feel, disenfranchised because they didn't get in. So I don't know. I see the most obvious answer to that is more rallies. And just more opportunities for everyone to do what obviously they're very interested in taking part of. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there and just really, we had a very light agenda, Eric, but here we are 3 hours in, but I think we've really heard some great stuff today.
Thanks, Florence. John, Region 11.
I always learn a lot from these sessions, and being an officer for 4 years prior to becoming president of Region 11, I think every rally you learn something from somebody who's done something to their trailer or a way to handle things, or in terms of food and entertainment and everything else. It's pretty exciting. One of my pleasures, I think, is to install the officers. I'm going to do that this weekend. Actually, I'm leaving tomorrow for the Arizona Club. They're doing a boondocker down at the Birds and Barrels winery in Wilcox, Arizona. There's actually wineries all over. I thought, well, what kind of wine could they have down there? Well, I went last year and it was remarkable wine. I don't know where they get their grapes. Not from Texas, or not from Arizona. I think maybe from Lubbock, Texas, where a lot of grapes come from. It's like an area that's like Napa Valley. But what we're doing is I'm trying to visit all the clubs. I did, of course, as a vice president when I was a part of that for the last 4 years. But now I'm really getting interested in knowing all these members, and the presidents I have are really top flight. They're doing great work. They're building their memberships. They're having more rallies. We have instructional rallies. We have maintenance rallies. We have new member rallies. And I would love to join with Florence and Sean, put Region 11 in that joint region rally thing and have 3 regions come together in the West area. Would be really cool. We're planning our regional rally for Region 11 in Granby, Colorado in July of 2025. It's at the Sun Valley Rocky Mountain Resort up there. One of the things I wanted to do, a couple of years ago, we had a regional rally, but we had to have some generators. We had a lack of water. I the people shouldn't be worried about that, especially with pets and things that they have with them in terms of air conditioning and what they have to have on the trailers to keep the temperature at the right temperature. Um, so Sun Valley, for instance, I understand from my Colorado club, especially that spends a lot of time up there, it's one of the top resorts in the country. And everything is full hookup, level concrete sites, good meeting space. And so I don't want to have the members worried about any of their utilities, their uh, water, electric, or sewer. But we have 150 sites reserved. We've already got 90 sites taken. It's picking up. We're starting to really publicize it now to get the sites done, and everything is coming together really well. So I don't know. It's a lot of things to learn. This is a one of these meetings. As I said, I learned a lot. I've already learned an awful lot from Alan Rabb, even though I don't understand half of it, but I'm getting there. And the idea that we're covering so many things. I'm so excited about the movement that we're going. We're moving pretty fast, but Jenny, thanks so much for spearheading the 707. And God, what you saw there with the looks of the place, it's just going to be a real proud moment for us all to come there and visit, give members a chance to go there and actually visit. So I want to thank you all, and we'll be in touch. I know I really appreciate the hookups that we have with the presidents, get to know you all a little bit better, and I know we'll continue that. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, Region 12, Jason.
Yep. You guys get to see me in a little bit of rare form with some glasses on here. Those of you that know me don't often see me like this, but Sean kind of sprung it on me at the last minute to give the Region 12 thing. So here I am in my home office. And Eric, looking at the way the earthquake stuff is going, I'm surprised you got windows right now, dude, because it's shaking off the coast out there.
Wow.
So that said, Region 12 stuff. I'm going to start with Greater Bay Area because, well, that's where I'm from. We're going to do a holiday rally real soon here at one of the casinos in the hills that has a really great RV park where we will do our annual White Elephant gift exchange, which is an absolute fun party. If anybody is available a week from now, that's when it is. And I got 4 spots available. I'm hosting it. So let me know. Next cool thing that, hey, I just happen to be the host of too, national event rally, Silver on the Seas. We're going out of Seattle up through Alaska. We actually had 1 cancellation, so we're down to 67 cabins reserved, but that's still going to be 130 plus Airstreamers having one heck of a party on a cruise ship. Not officially announced yet, but just talked with our travel agent actually yesterday. Looks like for 2026, so we're going to skip a year, but in 2026, we're actually going to do a European river cruise. So some really cool stuff that's going to happen there. Other new news, believe it or not, just from yesterday, we're going to do a Grapes and Grains Memorial Weekend in Half Moon Bay. So that's not announced to Grapes and Grains or the general membership yet, but will come out soon as I write up a summary of that and send it off to the Grapes and Grains. And then lastly, Rose Parade Rally, another national event, but something that Region 12 really loves. I actually got in this year. Yay. I will be there. But we're all going down to Pasadena for the Rose Parade, and there's going to be 30 Airstreams hosted by Margaret Hanshoe. And we got grandstand tickets to see the parade, and we can do float decoration and do all sorts of cool stuff in the Pasadena area. So lots of stuff going on in Region 12. It's the winter, but this is when we camp.
Thanks, Jason. And yeah, I was wondering about those glasses. So, okay, before we close, I just have to say that as we head into our next meetings together, I see you, Bob. Hang on a second. let's just make sure that we try to work together as a team. And we have a pretty, I think, you can tell by some of the conversations, there are a number of unresolved questions and issues and comments and stuff around what Capstone and CBO are going to look like. And let's make sure that we bring that all to the table. There's nothing hidden. The worst thing for an organization is for anyone to believe that there's things that we're hiding from each other, from the public. So let's make sure we're all in together at the meeting. Bob, Gary, I'll make sure that I'll talk with Jim. Well, he's right there, but they adequately address what was in that SOI, what the context was, why Brad decided he wanted to pull it and instead recommend the Capstone team be formed instead. But I want to go through it all, Jim, so we all hear that together at the same time, right, on their study session. And then when we move into the full board, we can have a discussion on what we all heard together as a team. So thank you guys for bringing up tough topics. As I've said to you before, I'm very proud of this board, by the way. We've worked through a number of challenging topics from, should we buy the building next door? How do we finance it? What do we do about an RV park? What do we do about leadership structure? The finance director, and we work best together and we make the best results when we work as a team. So I'm committed to make sure, Gary, that we have the time on the agenda to talk to any residual concerns before we vote on something that's important. Okay, so I heard you. Thank you for bringing it up. It's not forgotten. It's not being pushed away. If in fact, Jim, this is something that you want to include or summarize when we do the meeting on the 13th, you guys talk about it, whatever you want to do. Okay, but let's work together as a team on that one. Bob, I think we missed you and to go around. Oh, oh my gosh, we lost. There you are.
I'm here now. I'm here. I lost signal wherever I was. It went away. I finally got back in, and it went away again. Modern stuff. I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's been a joy meeting the other presidents of the regions, the ideas, just the heartfelt desire to make everything better, as you were just saying, Eric. Region 3 continues to grow like the club is. We're over 3,000 members. We've got 16 clubs. Our big event that I'm in the middle of working on will be our region rally being held in the Charleston area. And that'll be the 9th through the 13th of April. If you're interested, all the information will be going out about the 10th of January. We'd love to have others from outside the region join us. The next year's region rally is already set, and it's going to be in Lakeland, Florida, and more information will be coming out on that. We're doing a lot of cool things. The clubs are doing a lot of neat rallies, and there's a lot of club caravans starting to come together, going on one in the spring with some of the Virginia folks. So just a lot of good things happening here, just like in the club in general. So thank you, and I hope everybody's doing well through the holidays.
Thank you. That was a good way to close it, Bob. I appreciate that. Good seeing you again, my friend. You guys have a rest of the wonderful holiday weekend, and we won't talk together as a team until the next part of the next calendar year and our fiscal year change too. So thank you everyone for the preparation and the work. You guys are fantastic. All right. Talk to you all later. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.